A very good morning, everyone, and warm welcome to this FutureEO Earth Observation Science for Society Info Day for the year 2024. My name is Rune Fuvahagen. I'm the head of the Climate Action, Sustainability and Science Department, to which, this activity belongs. And it's my great pleasure to invite everyone here for an online Info Day for us to give you information about what we are planning as part of the FutureEO Earth Observation for Society activities, also known today and still as Block 4 of the FutureEO program. What I'd like to start off by saying is that Earth observation and the Earth observation program in ESA is strong and vivid. After the ministerial in 2022, we have gone through highly interesting, I would say, space summit that took place in November of last year, which gave us additional directions at ESA and also specifically for the Earth observation programs. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we are receiving political directives concerning our focus and strengthening the focus in particular on climate, on sustainability, as well as Earth system science, and in particular going in the direction of supporting actionable information in this area. We are already seeing some result of that in the overall preparation, and I will come back to that towards the end of my introduction for the next ministerial. And in terms of the overall expenditure in ESA, we are seeing now in the present year 2024, 30% of the overall budget in ESA is dedicated to Earth observation, and we are going, let's say, tipping to even close to 2.3 billion euros in the coming years. And this also means for FutureEO that it's a very healthy program. We did suffer a little bit of an undersubscription with respect to our ambition at the ministerial, but still it is a super healthy program. And for the year 2024, overall in this program across all the 4 blocks, we have about 450 million euros in the pocket. This is, and this of course is not for us, this is for you and for the community to enjoy. And what does it mean? It means that on top of the subscriptions that we received at the ministerial, there has been some topping up action from certain member states, and this actually puts us in a very healthy situation. Yeah. Now we have produced, based on all of this, an implementation plan and a work plan that we have shared with our member states, and this has been approved by our lords and masters in the Earth Observation Program Board, and this gives some direction also to the content and to the program that we are presenting to you here today. But it is obvious that already in the work plan for 2024 and also the one that we will see for 2025, there will be additional focus on expanding the application development area with the focus on green transition and climate, and also on the industrialization of innovative analytics. These are key points that are listed in the implementation plan and in the work plan and have been approved by our member states. And you will see that in the detailed presentations also by my colleagues later on. Now, in a bit of a quick let's say, running through of all of this, you know that we have several sub-elements of Block 4 of the EO Science for Society. And in all of these areas, you will receive dedicated presentations. We will start by science, then we go in for the digital innovation, the Sentinel user preparation, the open call, foresight, and of course also not forgetting applications and industrial competitiveness. These are the areas that we will focus on. In the digital innovation area, what you're going to see in the coming few hours is that in our procurement activities and in our, let's say, projects that we would like to initiate, we value and see very much the need for long-term and persistently funded open, if you will, infrastructure. That doesn't necessarily mean computers, but it means digital systems which can support openness, open science, open source, and also open innovation. And this is fitting in the strategic. This is fitting into the overall strategy of the Earth observation program. You will see that in the Science for Society, we do support a lot, let's say, the leveraging of the means that modern ICT gives us for sharing and for establishing collaborative environments. This is definitely a key point of this digital innovation domain. In the applications area, we are seeing a very, very steep growth in our involvement with stakeholders, in particular linked to policy, I would say. So we do have a very strong focus on working for, but also with end users and also with the stakeholders. We have seen a lot of activities here focusing on, for example, collaboration with the United Nations, with UNEP, with DG ENV and others in the Commission. And we are very much focusing on establishing partners with this kind of stakeholders to ensure the end user empowerment, but also the proper anchoring of all of what we are doing in this area in order to provide the best possible solutions and opportunities for you, actually. In the earth science domain, this is super exciting because this is something that is also emphasized very frequently by our member states as an area where the ESA mandate is unquestionable. And so we do focus here on a unique set of challenges that mankind, if you will, is facing. And that requires, let's say, academic endeavor and investment in science, and by advancing the way that we observe, the way that we develop understanding, knowledge, and also the way that in the end we will be able to predict the dynamic evolution of system Earth, climate, and all the complex interactions that these systems have with us as humans, and that we try to translate that into novel solutions. I call them green solutions, that can help us transit towards a sustainable future and a climate neutral economy. So the science element of FutureEO definitely aims to address this through the fostering of scientific excellence and also through the maximization, if you will, of the impact of Earth observation in terms of methods, observation products, and breakthroughs. And this is definitely a strong focal point of the program. And all of this is done in combination and in alignment with partners, not the least the Horizon Europe program and DG RTD in the Commission. In terms of industrial competitiveness, we definitely see ESA as an enabler of new techniques, opportunities, and actors. And basically here, we have an opportunity with you to work directly with industry to do this enabling and to foster things. So we are very keen to hearing your ideas about all of that, and Gordon Campbell will present this in more detail later. Under this sub-element, we also manage what we call the open call. This is a super successful activity, and it's really a core activity which is supporting innovative exploitation of the Earth observation data, and that's why we do have a dedicated presentation also on that. The foresight element is traditionally has been dealing a lot with artificial intelligence, but it is not, let's say, the involvement of PhilLab in terms of exploring new technologies and doing even a little bit of blue sky dreaming, if you will, is developing, and we will have also presentation on the opportunities in that later on. And I invite you to take good note of that, because this is an area where we also foresee a strong growth in terms of opportunities and also in terms of the linking between those activities and the rest of the Earth observation program at ESA. So this is a little bit what is going to happen during the day. Two more things I'd like to share with you before I give the floor to Inge to introduce the program. Is first of all what you all know about, which is something that we call geo-return, or the fair return principle by which ESA operates. We do take good note of the evolution of the fair return and the geo-return across the program, obviously, and also we take note of the national interests that are expressed through the delegations that represent all of you. And this is something that we are keen on leveraging on and making sure that all the countries are happy with the FutureEO program and therefore interested in continuing its support to the envelope. And so what we in fact do is to encourage all of you as economic operators in this economy to stay in close contact with your national delegations. Because if you do so, you will find that many of the things that we are doing and we are proposing here today are fully in line with national strategies for innovation, for Earth observation, for business and economic development, for climate action, or for science. So there are often possibilities to align or at least align funds or at least ambitions across, let's say, European and national players in all of this, and even sometimes also at regional level. And this is something that we keep a close watch on our side, and we are also very happy to take your input on this should you want to discuss this further. The last thing I would like to mention this morning before I hand over to Inge is that in the FutureEO program, or in Earth observation in general, we are already starting to think seriously about the next ministerial and the strategy towards, let's say, the period 2025 to 28 and the longer term perspective in all of this. Some of you may know that we already have a new Earth observation science strategy in the making. And this is something that we intend to present to all of you on the 7th and 8th of May at a workshop here in Esrin. But the important thing I'd like to mention here is that this will include aspects of system science. Technology development needs to fulfill those strategic requirements to achieve that science, but also applications, policies in a dualistic framework. It fits, first of all, into a long-term ESA strategy. That's called the ESA 2040 strategy that is also in the making. But it also fits with some shorter-term considerations. Then we talk about a time horizon of, let's say, 5, 6, 7 years to give us a mix of let's say, strategic ambition on the long term, as well as what we are expected to do, and the science in particular that we should be focusing on in the coming, let's say, let's say 5 years, something like that. And this is an interesting process that we are been working on for more than a year now. And what we would definitely encourage is for you to join this workshop on the 7th and 8th of May and participate in the discussion and give us the comments, because the better the anchoring of this strategy in the community, of course, the better the possibilities also are that these strategic elements will lead to programmatics and programs that will also be receptive of strong backing by our member states, and therefore also funding for all of us to continue to do what we all love doing. So this is what I wanted to say here at the beginning. We have a very interesting program for you with lots of opportunities coming. And I just would like to wish all of us a great day, listening in, asking questions, and making sure that the dialogue around this program continues. Thank you very much, and over to you, Inge.
Thank you very much, Rune. Hope you can hear me. So nice to meet you all. So I'm a new face in ESA. Actually, I started a month ago as the new head of the Green Solutions. And as Rune was saying, I will take you to a few slides to present the program. So I'll try to share my screen. I hope you can all see it. So as Rune already said, so it's EO Science for Society. So we will present all the different aspects, but I will give you an overview of some general parts. So we're a big team, so this is a team solution, and also the Lab will be presenting, as Rune mentioned, also the foresight. So, this side. This is the agenda, so we will spend a good morning together. So as Rune indicated, we will have the separate blocks, science applications, industrial competitiveness, after which we will have a short Q&A and the coffee break. And then we continue with the digital innovation, the SOUP, open call, foresight, and then we take some time for some more Q&A. And so we foresee to finish around 1:30. So you have seen the rules for this WebEx platform. So you're all attendees and there's no interaction foreseen with panelists, but there's the chat, of course, for the Q&A. So please feel free. So we heard about this block 4, this famous block 4, so Earth Observation Science for Society. So basically, this one also already pointed out, we have 4 core elements: the scientific excellence, pioneering novel applications, growing the downstream sector, and then leveraging on latest digital innovation. So in this graph, you can see that there's 2 cross-cutting elements, as mentioned already before. So the Sentinels users preparation, so the SOUP, and then also the foresight. So the foresight really try to explore these disruptive technologies, and also then the SOUP preparing for these upcoming Sentinels. So Rune was talking already about this open call, and we'll also go into detail on this, which is really also cross-cutting and the core and elements. So what are the different parts? So you can see the graphs. So it's really about scientific excellence. So that's really key for ESA, really maximizing the scientific impact of these capabilities. And as I said, we don't do it in isolation. It's really in collaboration with the Commission. So the DGRTT, for example, Horizon Europe, pioneering these Earth observation applications with a solution for the international, but also European policies. So we will hear about this also in the application side. Strengthening then this European industry, which we also will hear about, the competitiveness, so the integration of these new technologies, but also stimulating innovative approaches for new market opportunities. And then finally, also making full leverage of these ICT advances, really to make sure that we have a rapid innovation process. So what about the activity principles? So everything that's done in this block is really try to be driven by major scientific challenging, also the societal needs, and also the global agendas. As we all know, we're very high on the agenda, being the Paris Agreement, going to all the different ECB, for example, so also taking into account these policies. So it's really to respond to the needs and also the recommendation linked to the scientific and operational user communities, as well as the downstream industries. So we heard before, so the end users, it's a very critical part in everything we do here. And so you will hear about this also in the application side. So it's to complement, seed and cross-fertilize and enrich all these activities of these ESA member states national programs. Then we have Horizon Europe from the Commission, Destiny E, and then the well-known Copernicus. Lately also to enhance and accelerate these latest digital innovations. As Rune was mentioning, the AI, we have the open platforms from the digital solution, data cubes, cloud computing, big data, open science, and even citizen science. So a few highlights. I think there's too many highlights, and I'm happy that all the different parts will have time to really discuss this in detail. But just for here to know, as heard, Science Hub, it's very crucial for the cooperation on Earth system science, and we're very proud to have this here in Esrin. Then we have the transfer to operations. We have the open EO platforms, and then also the consultation process with the NGOs, for example, the nature restoration law. Oops. And then if we go back, you could see, so it's really about collaboration, setting the scene. And so you can see here the open science. So people like numbers. So here are some numbers. As said, we don't work in isolation. It's really linked to a lot of other scientific institutions. There's a lot of outputs, as you can see here mentioned, scientific papers, a lot of collaborations. Here it's mentioned more than 45 countries outside Europe and 35 international organizations, a lot of proposals through the open call, enormous amount of active platform users. I see here 400,000, so you can really see the output is huge. And as Rune was saying, it's also a very important part of the whole ESA work which is going on. So you're not alone in this webinar, so you can see who else is attending this one. So we're over 400 participants registered. And so you, the public, comes from 29 different countries. So we're very pleased to have such a wide audience. So with this as an introduction, so now I'm very happy to leave the floor to this amazing team who really takes care for this. And the first one we will come up is the science part. So over to you, Diego.
Thank you very much, Inge. So let me also share the slides. Okay, I hope you can see them.
Yes.
Very well. So let me start with this. That is somehow a repetition of what Rune has been saying, but I think everybody connected in this webinar would agree with me that we are all facing a major challenge, environmental challenge linked to climate change, but also to the major pressures that human activities are putting on the environment. So we are in a moment where also this unique set of challenges that we are all facing requires more than ever science somehow as the bedrock of the knowledge that we need in order to generate new solutions that may help us to face and to address all these problems that we are facing. So this is what we are trying to do, or to contribute to do, with the science program. This is a panorama of the type of activities that we are implementing through the science element. And the first one is talking to scientists. So we dedicate a lot of effort to organize meetings, workshops. Many of you participate to those. I always repeat that it's very important that you participate to those events and you are not shy and you tell us what you think, because out of these events we have reports, we organize scientific agendas together with you. And these are the basic elements that we use to generate our work plans. So we listen to you, we have your recommendations, and then we act in consequence. Most of the activities that we have in the program are dedicated to these top three elements. So a major component is dedicated to the science, the observation science. So try to develop new methods, new algorithms, and new products that may help us to address all the data gaps that we have today in earth science. The second is advancing earth system science. When you have this new data, is how to capitalize on this capability to get a better understanding of our planet, a better understanding of the processes that we still don't understand, a better understanding of how are the impacts of climate change, of human activities in the earth system. This is what we are trying to do. And we have several activities moving in the direction of advanced simulations and predictability across all the different domains of earth system science. We dedicate also a lot of effort to training and education, especially to the new generations of scientists. We have dedicated tools and virtual labs for you to try to better use Earth observation data. SNAP is one of these examples. We support some campaigns, not a lot, but some campaigns also to support our activities together with our colleagues in ESTEC. And some of our projects are also dedicated to learn from what we know from our projects. Our projects are always in the frontier of what is possible, to look a little bit beyond and to transfer that knowledge into potential future concepts in terms of novel missions. We have a number of strategic activities that are trying to reinforce all these projects that we are running with you. As mentioned before, we have a strong collaboration with Horizon Europe, especially with the DGRTD. I will talk to you a little bit about this later. We are working through clusters, so we are trying to bring together the community to work together to address jointly major scientific challenges. We need more collaboration. We need to work together. We need to have a continuous dialogue with you. So we have created also the Science Hub in Esring to do that. And as you could see from the type of activities that we are running, we are trying to advance through the data, through their system science activities, and through the projects on predictability and simulations to move towards a better reconstruction of the Earth system. So everything that we are doing fits somehow into a potential digital twin of the Earth. So this is more or less how we see the program. The clusters, as you may know, for those that are involved in our activities, we have mainly 4 active clusters today: the polar one, ocean one, the carbon one, and the atmospheric one. All these activities have the main goals: so advance the observation capabilities to address these challenges, use those data to have the knowledge on the Earth system, and then transfer that into solutions through the activities that maybe Giuseppe will present later. The idea is to launch other 4 clusters in the coming 2 years. You will see that many of our ITTs go already in this direction, and the logic is for all those clusters to have a number of critical mass of projects that works together in order to achieve, let's say, more scientific goals through networking and collaboration. We are also supporting all that with dedicated open collaborative environments, and one is Earth Code that you will learn more probably today, that we are developing as the main collaborative environment for all of scientific activities. So as just to mention briefly, for those that are also familiar to Horizon Europe, you will see that there are many calls in Horizon Europe Work Plan 23 and 24 addressing a number of topics: biodiversity, polar regions, ocean health, natural disasters, that are making a reference to collaborate with these projects. So it's very important for us that we use this opportunity to capitalize on the activities that the European Commission is also funding in terms of in situ, in terms of modeling, things that goes beyond what its activities are funding to create, let's say, more ambitious collaborative activities. So in all our ITTs, you will find opportunities to collaborate with those projects. This is already happening. We had a workshop last year that is also showing the potential for this type of work. And we really encourage you and all the people that is engaged in our projects and the projects of the Commission to take this opportunity to try to do a more ambitious science activities. So let's move to the activities that we plan. We have 4 main events this year: Met-Cyclones workshop in Esring in July, 30 years of progress in radar altimeter in September, the European Polar Science Week also September in Copenhagen, and the Ocean Salinity Conference that will be in May in Aztec. As I said before, please participate to these events, because out of this we will get strong recommendations that we will follow in the coming work plans. Earth Explorers are coming. We have new set of Earth Explorers in the pipeline to be launched. We have also in preparation for that a number of activities that we plan to launch in 24 and 25 that will be mainly dedicated for the time being to Earth Care, Flex, and Biomass. The activities that we are preparing for Flex are mainly dedicated to aspects that are not tackled so far by the mission, and in particular to look at aspects related to the use of Flex in the ocean. We will also have some activities dedicated to preparation of biomass. We are looking carefully to the launch date. We would like to launch these ITTs close to the date of the launch of biomass, but will be dedicated to start a large set of activities to maximize and to have a fast exploitation of biomass. We will start also some activities dedicated to Harmony, especially to look at potential synergies with other missions and to develop potential innovative methods and products beyond what Harmony is already planning. And Earth Care, I will show you later, we have a dedicated call that will be in parallel to the launch of the missions in a few months. Looking at the polar regions, I would like just to explain you how the polar cluster works, because it gives a very good representation of how the clusters in practical terms try to bring together resources. So this is the set of projects that we have today in the polar cluster. Each of these projects is addressing a different element of the polar system. And what we are trying to do with all these projects is to provide that reconstruction of all the different processes and all the different elements that connects the ocean, the land ice, the sea ice, the atmosphere, in a comprehensive manner. Okay, this is what we are trying to do with all these polar activities. We have 5 main priorities: ice sheets, the Arctic, the Southern Ocean as a system, Arctic permafrost and methane emissions, and the role of mountain glaciers in the water cycle and the global sea level. We have right now an open call. This open call will close the 3rd of May. It addresses 3 major themes. The first one is dynamic Antarctica, is in the order of 1.5 million euro. The second thing is on the sea ice, is a Southern Ocean mass balance analysis. It's also 1 million euro. And we are open also the opportunity for 3 innovative activities related to the Arctic data gaps and knowledge gaps. This will be 3 activities quite open for the community of $500,000 each. The next opportunities that we will open will be in the context of Greenland. We try to work together with the European Commission towards an European coordinated action on Greenland assessment, and to further support the ESA-NASA GLAMBI project on glaciers. In the ocean science clusters, these are the main priorities that we are addressing. We have several ITTs in preparation for this year. The first one is also in collaboration with the European Commission, is on land-ocean interactions. We have 3 priorities. The one is looking at the coastal carbon budget. The second one is also dealing with the coastal ocean dynamics, that is trying to use novel high-resolution data, SAR, optical, SAR altimetry, but also the new SWOT capabilities to have new high-resolution coastal products characterizing coastal dynamics. The other one is looking at land-ocean transports and mainly looking at the impacts of fires in the biochemistry of the ocean. There is more fires, and we would like to, because of climate change, we would like to see what is the impact of that increase in the carbon cycle and the ecosystems. In overall, we are starting with 1.5 million euro. In parallel to this, there is a big project of the European Commission dealing with also land ocean interactions that will work together with these projects. Another topic we are addressing is gaps in knowledge gaps and ocean data gaps in ocean science. And this project will address multi-mission ocean dynamics. This will mainly address some gaps that we have in the way we characterize ocean dynamics and ocean circulation. In particular, we will focus on Atlantic area, okay, but looking at different domains in the Atlantic area, tropical regions, and also high altitude of high latitude processes. This is 1 million euro and will be very soon out in few weeks. The other call that we are starting and will be in Q3 24 is dedicated to ocean biodiversity. This is in the order of 1.5 million euro, will be a strong European collaborative project to try to develop a new set of products, developing using Earth observation data and situ data models to better characterize ocean biodiversity and ecosystems in coastal areas and also in open ocean. This will be a joint undertaking also with activities also funded by the European Commission in a large, let's say, European cluster dedicated to ocean biodiversity. The other one that we are launching probably by the end of the year is about ocean data gaps, is mainly looking at the ambition to bring together all the different novelties that we are developing in the ocean science clusters in terms of new products and bringing all that together in a multivariate data set that can serve as a benchmarking data set for further studies and also for potential future expansion to global scales before moving into, let's say, a more operational stage. So this will probably focus on some pilot areas. We are thinking in the Atlantic and the Mediterranean, but has the ambition to be a global new generation of Earth observation products for the ocean. And this will be 800K in Q4. Looking at the carbon now, and I will try to be faster. In the last calls, we have addressed land use dynamics. We have also addressed benchmarking opportunities. Now we are moving towards quite ambitious activity. As you will know, in the next few years, we will have new missions flying by biomass, like Flex. We have the set of Sentinels flying, other partners will launch other missions that are very relevant in the carbon context, like NISAR, etc. So we are trying to create a large international effort to have the best possible high-resolution reconstruction of the terrestrial carbon cycle. So this is what we are trying to do, also in collaboration with the European Commission. There is a call for 24 dedicated to this topic. And what we are trying to do is through three calls. Now we will have one dedicated to the high-resolution assessment of the terrestrial carbon cycle, at least phase 1 of this activity. This will be in the order of 1.52 million euro. We plan to launch it in around Q3. And this will include other 2 additional topics. One is dedicated to fires in the carbon cycle, try to reconstruct completely the cycle of fires in the carbon cycle. And then we'll have a more coordination and networking support activity that is called Terrestrial Carbon Budget Reconciliation Challenge. We are working strongly with NASA and the European Commission to do that. So this activity will help us to somehow coordinate all of different efforts in a better manner. All these activities is in the order of 2.5 million, so 1.5 for the big activity, and then we will have 500,000 more or less for the other 2. On atmosphere science, we have recently 2 big activities launched on methane emissions and clay aerosols. And the next one that we will have is in the order of 1.5 of 2 million, fully dedicated to Earth care. This will be a set of innovative studies. Several studies try to address innovative developments associated to new products, new algorithms, new methods, but also new science studies that goes probably beyond the core activities or the core goals of Earth care. Try to maximize at maximum at the beginning the set of scientific studies that we could do with this mission, and to promote a fast exploitation of Earth care. Obviously, we will have more of these activities in the future, but this is just to start maximizing the impact of Earth care as soon as it is launched. On the water cycle, we have right now a big activity out. It's 1.8 million euro. It's the biggest project that we have right now, and it's addressing a very important topic, which is flood forecasting. So this is one of these activities what we are trying to bring the latest observation capabilities together with modeling in order to improve simulations, in order to improve forecast of a particular problem that is increasing, which is floods. This will involve the development of new products, especially SAR altimeters, using also SWOT data, but also other products like rainfall, soil moisture, etc., and use different advanced models, including artificial intelligence and also hybrid methods, to maximize the combination of Earth observation and modeling to have better flood forecasting. Okay, this is open, will be closed the 7th of May 2024. The other activity that we are launching is coming somehow on the Hydrospace workshop that we have in 2020, and is trying to answer an important question. We will have probably more of these activities in the future, but we are trying to better characterize how humans impact the water cycle. This will address especially the development of a set of products at high resolution and a number of scientific studies to better understand how those impacts are propagating across the full cycle, from the basin level to the global scale. The first activity will be in the range of 1.5 million euro, and we plan to launch this project in Q3 2024. Moving to biodiversity, another activity that is in the order of 1.5 million, also in collaboration with the European Commission, is about terrestrial and water ecosystems. We are trying to better characterize the impacts of climate change and human activities in these ecosystems. We are trying to quantify those impacts and try to understand the drivers and provide a new set of products to better somehow characterize ecosystem functioning under stress, especially associated to the different impacts that ecosystems are suffering, with a special focus on Europe, but also on several other hotspots around the planet. On soils and agriculture, we have an activity of 1 million euro that will be launched in Q3. It is mainly an integrated assessment of satellites and in situ data to assess vegetation and crops under multiple stressors. This is also in collaboration with a number of projects of the European Commission that are trying to develop new devices to assess all these stressors, biotic and abiotic stressors. So we are trying to bring together that capability in a set of experiments where we are trying to use in situ data and satellites with advanced models to have a better reconstruction of how vegetation and crops evolves under different stressors, climate change, but also human impacts, and to try to develop new techniques that may allow us to better manage crops under extreme circumstances. On the solid and magnetic earth component, we had several activities last year. So this year we will focus on the core. We have an initiative that is called For the Earth. In For the Earth, we are trying to provide the best possible reconstruction of the solid Earth. We have right now 2 projects. One is dealing with the core, another one is dealing with the lithosphere. So we are trying to address more aspects in this call related to the core, but also enlarging to the interaction between the core and the mantle. So this activity will also use SWARM, but other satellites, also MSS Chinese mission, and also NanoMaxSat. So this will be in the order of 500,000 and will be launched in Q4 2024. Training, as I said before, is another important aspect of the things that we are doing, training and education. We organize several of those during the year, together with many other partners, also several MOOCs. We have recently opened one on the use of on data science. And to support all our activities, we have a call that is open right now. It's called Training Academy for E-Education Support. It's in the order of 800K. It's now open. The closing date is the 5th of the 4th, so it's closing right now. And is to provide expert support to ESA to organize all these training events and to support all the different training activities, maximizing the use of the latest IT infrastructures. Finally, I would like to recall you that in all the ITTs, you will find opportunity to collaborate with us. So all the ITTs include options to have dedicated collaborative work package that goes somehow beyond what the project is asking for. These work packages could be developed during the projects and may involve visits of your students, of senior scientists to work with us for several months in the Science Hub, also together with the other scientists to promote more collaborative approach to science. So we are hoping to host you here. And I think this is my last slide. Thank you very much. I think the next one should be Giuseppe.
That's correct. Thank you, Diego. Can you see my slides correctly in full screen?
No, Giuseppe, we don't see anything.
Hold on.
Yeah, that's okay.
Perfect. Thank you. So seamlessly, we pass and we move from all the work in terms of building scientific knowledge on the Earth systems into transforming this knowledge into action to enable policies. The presentation has been built with all of my colleagues listed here, and in case there are additional questions following this presentation, you can also contact me directly offline via email at the address here stated in the slide. The structure of the presentation is basically over two parts. The first part is looking at the full comprehensive introduction on the approach that we have and the principles that are guiding our activities. And then I will dive into the opportunities that we have for 2024. The objectives of the activities that we implement is really to pioneer innovative and reliable solutions based on the integrated Earth observation data for the benefit in response to the various international policies on the environment and sustainable development and their evolution. All the projects and activities that we do are characterized by the active involvement of the stakeholders and end users. So we don't develop these new pioneering things in our little corner, but we involve them proactively in the activity. And this is done throughout all the various phases of the project, from the initial capturing and consolidation of the requirements to the co-design, the development, and the validation and verification phases. Ultimately, really to facilitate and achieve the integration of the developed solutions into the operational systems and practices of such end users and stakeholders. So, which are the various policies that we address? Of course, we take into consideration the 2015 three major multilateral policies, the SDGs, the Paris Agreement, and the Sendai Framework, but also consider the sometimes less known international policies, starting from the land degradation neutrality policy, the new urban agenda with UN Habitat, the GBF that was approved 2 years ago in Montreal, the Ramsar Convention on wetlands, and also the various highlights and priorities that UN sets, for example, also the ecosystem restoration and degradation actions. Especially this last one is extremely important on the political agenda today, because on the one side it represents, let's say, a clear pragmatic action that can help us to face the crisis of climate change, but also it basically all human activities really contribute in a way or another, indeed, to great, huge pressure on the ecosystems in terms of pollution, in terms of degradation, and in terms of unsustainable use of the Earth resources. So this is also a clear priority on our agenda from the perspective of the international policies. From the European perspective, of course, the Green Deal represents the overarching political statement of the Union. And this has certainly created a great new impetus and stimulus towards the green transition and the green economy, as defined as one with low carbon, resource efficient, and also socially inclusive. Within the overall Green Deal, of course, there are great number of specific dedicated policies, directives, strategies, regulations that member states have to follow, whether are directive laws at the European level or translated into national laws by each member state. So we closely monitor those and we closely work with such entities in order to then deploy our activities. As I say, we don't work by ourselves, but we work together with key partners in establishing the synergies that the partners bring together in the deployment of our activities. Here are some pictures of, let's say, some recent discussions and recent agreements that we have had across the various, across ESA and the various entities. And we cover a broad range of type of such partnerships, from international and European institutional partners to also local or more national entities and stakeholders with which we see great synergy and with which we bridge this dialogue across the Earth observation, let's say, universe that we bring, and their needs and their also objectives from the policy and implementation perspective. Of course, we have extensive, also strong collaborations, as also Diego presented, with respect to RTD with the Commission. We talk to, of course, DEFIS and JRC with respect to the new type of R&D activities that we implement, building synergies with JRC, but also with the many policy DGs with respect to the agriculture activities and the new CAP with DG Agri, the environment with respect to the zero pollution policies, the EUDR activities, and also the biodiversity aspects, with Eurostat, DG Stat, DG Mare, and DG Ener. So there are many actions in terms of dialogues, in terms of partnership that we are establishing and that we already have. Of course, many of the agencies as well of the Union, the EA and EMSA, and of course, also the networks that they have also structured, and we leverage on those networks to make sure that we try ultimately to embed the Earth observation integrated solutions into a much wider network of stakeholders and potential end users. Some examples here is on the biodiversity perspective. We work together with GeoBon in aligning our strategy, allowing the needs and the implementation activities. We work with the Secretariat of the CBD, and of course with the scientific teams behind the convention, IPBS, the UN Statistical Division, implementing their and following their system of environmental economic accounting, and also networks such as IUCN and also NGOs such as WWF. So you could see that we bring across a single theme all the various partners and then dialogue with the implementers at a national, regional, national, and local scale. So these are our drivers, the international policies. We define a roadmap, we capture community recommendations, we move into the project definition, we build also specific advisory boards for the projects at the ESA level, and we ask in our procurement actions, in our opportunities and ITTs, teams to bring together both the direct engagement of the stakeholders and end users with the excellence of Earth observation innovations with industry and academia, of course. So this, let's say, bottom part is really what we request in our ITTs, the capturing of the user needs, the proactive engagement in the deployment of the activity, and also the integration of the developed solutions in the demonstrators and activities that are actually implemented. Of course, the results, then ESA brings these results in the dialogue with international policies, providing also feedback to the policies in terms of effectiveness of the policies, achievements of the policies, and progress and evolution of such policies. As I mentioned, we have an EO integrated approach and not an EO centered approach. So we come in very humble when we talk to these entities, knowing that the user communities have many different needs, many additional resources, starting from non-EO data networks, maybe in situ type of information and capture maybe by statistical offices or by environment agencies. They also have their own internal, let's say, data sources that they can do directly, they can capture directly, or also build together with additional partners. And of course, they have their constraints and perimeter of action in terms of the standards they need to apply. The policy reporting needs certain time constraints, and changing the standards changing the way they work, these end users, is not a trivial thing. It requires a lot of efforts, and we start planting the seeds for such changes, and we bring them forward in time through a number of actions that are built on top of each other towards the full operational mainstreaming of the Earth observation integrated approach. As we will hear later on, we follow an open innovation approach, invest a lot on knowledge sharing and in capacity expansion, and we follow the FAIR principles that also will be mentioned by the digital innovation team later on. I will not dive and list all the various users here that we have and the different needs that they bring to us in our dialogue, but certainly they're very heterogeneous in terms of their needs. And we span from the initial owners of the policies that are setting the objectives to the actual regulators, the implementers themselves that have to modify the practices to reach the new objectives of the policies. The also funding entities that may have a specific interest in engaging and participating to the implementation of the policies. And of course, the expert networks that can allow us to further resonate on our results with the need to integrate Earth observation. And clearly, all the academia and value-added industry of Earth observation. Last but not least is the citizens. This is also a specific, we call it user group, that have very peculiar and specific needs in many occasions, and they want to be part of this change of our let's say societal approach toward the utilization of the Earth resources and towards our daily habits as well of let's say energy consumption and an impact on the environment. So we also are establishing a dialogue with a larger type of user groups from the citizen perspective. How do we engage with all these stakeholders? We organize workshops together actually with the science teams. So we bring science and policy, the policies nexus together. Two upcoming ones, just for your information here to see what is coming up. One on agriculture under pressure, and one on the urban insight from space. So we capture challenges and priorities from all these user groups. We identify also synergies with the known EO data. We understand the constraints that these entities have, and their recommendation, therefore your recommendations, if you will be attending, are then transformed into an action plan and project activity plan from the ESA perspective in terms of investments. When we characterize a project, this is very important to understand. We have two major axes: the scalability and maturity of the EO application methodology, and on the horizontal axis, whether we are targeting early adopters new to the type of Earth observation integrated approach, and instead champion users who instead become our ambassadors always also to other wider networks of users. Based on these two axes, we are able to specifically address the different needs of the project. And this is done, let's say, when discussing the objectives also with the policy stakeholders. And we move, of course, as a path from the bottom left corner to the top right corner. And in this progression, we start from early, there are many names that the different community use, from early discovery and prototypes to full pre-operational solutions. And they may have more capacity development and knowledge sharing components if talking to the early adopters, or more communication investments if we're talking to champion users to expand our breadth of involved stakeholders. We also sometimes have a community responsive approach. So the champion users that have a clear need might address us and tell us to look into a specific action. And in that case, we have our, let's say, mechanism internally also to try to tackle such needs. We transform that project characterization in project series types. So this is also to facilitate the understanding of where the projects are sitting here in this graph, because we use this nomenclature in all of our projects. So we, from the bottom perspective in terms of maturity and scalability, we start with the people series, and then we can address either the early adopters or champion users. We have on the bottom, on the top part, the world series. And then specifically, we might have separated, so beyond the world series, engine series, really looking at pre-operational tools that can be integrated by specific communities that we are targeting. So in 2024, we will expand the World Series. These are the current one ongoing. The kickoff of the World Ecosystem Extent is coming up soon, and the World Ecosystem Commodities is currently under evaluation. From the people series, we will continue investing. These are the current ones. We have just kicked off the coastal blue carbon, and we have the agricultural atmospheric emissions and the ecosystem conservation currently under evaluation. So let me now also clarify a number of principles and synergies that we have established in the last year. So these are all the projects, the single projects, that you see here vertically pictured in the slide. These single projects are working, let's say, separately from each other, right? And rightly so. We have separate contracts working for each of these type of projects. And we have established a number of ICT elements and also stakeholder and user engagement horizontal elements to bring these projects together, to build narratives across these projects, and therefore engage in a longer term perspective as well with respect to the stakeholders and user engagement. The first element is the network of resources. My colleagues later on might be providing additional information about this one. It's a sponsoring mechanism to get ICT support. I don't dive into these activities, into this element. The application propagation environment, it's something that we have just started. These again will be most probably targeted, explained as well by my colleagues later on. It's an element that provides a number of services, onboarding of the results, operationalization of the results, the instantiation of a number of environments targeting specific high priority policy matters, also allowing users an expert exchange, and providing analytics and dashboard functions that can be activated very rapidly. So if the network of resources is something used from the during the development perspective, from the single project perspective, the application and propagation environments are instead used to allow a continuation of the various single projects beyond the lifetime of the project itself. So this is extremely important. And of course, there is a link between the network of resources and the Apex, but I will not look into the technicalities in this slide. Two additional horizontal supports. The first one is the stakeholder expansion facility. Again, to look beyond the lifetime of the single projects, we want to continue the engagement of the stakeholders. We want to continue the dialogue with the end users, and making sure that we integrate these solutions into their into their practices. And also the stakeholder and expansion facility allows us to continuously mapping the evolution of the various international and European policies, and also their implementation mechanisms and down to the national and local level. Finally, We have seen that we still need to push a lot more on the communication with the stakeholders. So during the single projects, the fourth element, horizontal element called EO-Ascent, interacts with the single projects to make sure that all the benefits that are derived from the new developed EO solutions are captured through the lenses of the users, and then moved into the targeting of new user communities for the expansion and continuous investments towards and for the users. This slide was already present last year, exactly in March last year, but the Apex, the CEF, and the Ascent were all theoretical elements that we wanted to implement. Today, they are all kicked off, and they are now ramping up on their operations. So it's something that we will see the real value in 2024. But you could see that we have transformed the way that we will be working with these new horizontal elements. From the more programmatic perspective lines, we have a number of topics we're structuring in this way. So this is also important if you are in dialogue with your delegations and the national delegations. So these are the topics that we have in our application section programmatic element. And therefore, if you take, for example, the SDGs, we transform that programmatic line in a number of projects. So these are the current projects ongoing with respect to the SDG targets and indicators. Let me show you the applications opportunities that we have upcoming. The first one is on the essential biodiversity variables. We want to develop really state-of-the-art solutions for the production of the EBVs in 3 ecosystems, terrestrial, freshwater, and marine ecosystems, that indeed can be enabled by remote sensing data and can then be integrated for the monitoring of the GBF. So it's very specific with respect to the EBV's production, and we are defining at the moment the needs of this ITT with a number of partners, starting from GeoBon, but also the European Biodiversity Monitoring Coordination Center, the Knowledge Center for Biodiversity with JRC. Also, the EA is involved in this dialogue. The various projects that the European Commission is implementing at the moment with the Biodiversity Plus, and also the Global Biodiversity Information Facility. So we are, as mentioned before, we are aligning our investments with the needs of such policy owners and also, let's say, key partners specifically for biodiversity in this case. It will trigger a single contract of 24-month duration, and we're targeting at about a 600K budget. The next is a project that is targeting nature finance and nature finance mechanisms. It is in the broader context linked to the environmental social governance framework, but also with all the topics of natural capital accounting and natural capital valuation. So these are the frameworks in terms of topics. The activity will be issued actually potentially next week already, and there will be 2 objectives. The first one is to develop and validate new methodologies to quantify the dependency and impacts on nature of specific end-to-end supply value chains. One is the mining industry, and the other one industry will be left open for the bidders to select and propose. The second objective is to look specifically at some finance and economic scenarios. They're listed here. The first one is the physical and transition risks, the biodiversity credit schemes, the integration of natural capital accounting in the GDP reporting and economic modeling. And the fourth is debt for nature swaps mechanisms. So again, we are in the people type of schemes. So we're really pioneering these type of solutions, either with early adopter or champion users. The budget is quite wide because the requirements are very extensive here. It's 1.8 million euro, and it will trigger a single contract to make sure that we don't duplicate the efforts in the dialogue with the various stakeholders that span from the specific industries, financial economic operators, public entities, even government or ministries, and biodiversity credit entities. The third activity is another people activity. It's on sustainable blue economy. Also, this one, this ITT might be issued next week. So the intended ITT might be out already. So you keep an eye on that. It's targeting the really the support, the enabling of a sustainable blue economy action and activities, and to monitor the impact on the marine environment. As before, we have identified a number of, let's say, type of activities within the broader topic. And we will be looking at fisheries, aquaculture, renewable energies, and tourism. The ITT, the budget is 1.9 million, but it will trigger 4 separate contracts specifically for the 4 different subtopics. In this case, it will be ESA that will maintain the coordination across the 4 subtopics in terms of results achieved, dialogue across the 4 different contracts, and bringing everything together as well with respect to the higher level policy owners that are listed here in the slide. The fourth activity is targeting the carbon markets. We have had a workshop last year together with the DG Clima, looking at the EU carbon markets, both the voluntary one and the compliance one. There were additional partners from the implementation side, from the credit distribution side, from the certification side that were all involved in this workshop. We are organizing a second workshop also this year in September-October timeframe, together with the EEA and DG Clima. And we are targeting to issue this ITT in Q4 of this year. It will be at 800,000 euros ITT, and we want to enable the further growth of the carbon markets, seeing that it's a mitigation strategy. It's an incentive type of mechanisms for GHG emission reduction. Of course, it's not the solution to climate change, but certainly want to make sure that Earth observation solutions can improve the quality, transparency, and credibility of such mechanisms at a global level. So this is something that we will invest on towards the end of the year. The next is a World Series project. It's the World Forest. It's the only world activity that we will have in 2024. The budget will be about 1.2 million. And we will issue this in the coming month. It will look at the adaptive forest management solutions, looking at different scales, different type of user needs, and providing actionable products and indicators and the related tools that the various users and stakeholders can integrate into their practices. You have probably heard about the EU forest strategy and potentially the forest law that will be passed. There are a number of activities also at the global scale. As you know, ESA is coordinating the GFOI activity in close collaboration also with FAO. And we have strengthened as well our collaboration with UNEP that has a clear interest as well in this, let's say, adaptive forest management type of processes and the support that they need. Next is the only engine type of project that we foreseen in 2024. This one is targeting the SDG indicators and targets. We want to have specific workflows that can rapidly be integrated, potentially directly, primarily, let's say, directly into the application propagation environment, the APEX that I was mentioning before, and start pushing forward into a full operational context in support of the national statistical offices that have to report on the SDGs. We are far from achieving the SDGs today. We need to keep on investing together with the national statistical offices on the much streamlined type of reporting. Today, Earth observation is not at all or very limited integrated in such operational reporting. The reports are arriving a few years later than the actual date of the report being issued. And of course, in doing so, we will be not achieving the SDGs in 2030. We need to work together with the various partners, especially the custodian agencies of the SDGs, but of course also the statistical divisions of the UN. In Europe, Eurostat is clearly leading this, has a leading interest in this activity, orchestrating the work that the national statistical offices have to implement, and therefore we work hand in hand together with DG ISTAT as well. Finally, let me present to you a new scheme that we have just launched. It has been approved 1 week ago by our director. So I'm very pleased to launch this integrated policy expert scheme. Again, it's one element, one component of the puzzle to push forward into the embedding of the Earth observation integrated solutions for the policy enabling objective that we have. We will be able to host specific policy experts that they can be representing either national European organization, actual entities implementing the policies from a national to local scale, also coming from the multilateral conventions or civil society organizations, or also indigenous societies that can have an active role integrated in the ESA teams. So working together specifically on the project of ESA, from the definition phases to the monitoring of the implementation support, and also post, let's say, integrated support also when going back to the original organization, continue the, let's say, the uptake and full embedding of Earth observation into the new practices. There are, as you can, let's say, immediately identify many mutual benefits that we are hoping to achieve in doing so, and we will be launching this in 2024. So if you have contacts, ideas, or yourself are coming from such type of teams, do not hesitate to get in touch with us to start the implementation of this new scheme. With that, I complete my slides and presentation, and I believe next is Gordon on the agenda.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Let me just try and share my slides here. PowerPoint. Can you see my slides? Can you hear me?
Yes, Gordon, we can see your slides.
Excellent, thanks. Okay, so I'm going to walk through the this morning the tenders that we're releasing this year on the industrial competitiveness line. Just a slide on the overview of what we're trying to achieve with the industrial competitiveness. We're really looking at how we enable new capabilities in European Earth observation industry. The entire gamut of organisations providing industrial services using Earth observation data. And we've split that into three broad lines of action. So we're looking at new techniques, new opportunities, and new actors. They're really new capabilities just coming out of the research domain, so new tools, new processing methods, new data sets, etc. Also new opportunities opening up as a result of new technologies, new regulations, whatever. The industrialization of innovative analytics tools, in particular things like AI-based methods, but really getting these into application-oriented capability testing, not just ethical way of using these things, as well as looking at and trying to characterize fitness for purpose of EO-based solutions in the domains in which they're going to be applied. And lastly, we're looking at embedding and extending Earth observation into the target demand sectors and markets that companies want to target. So that's things like establishing best practices for the adoption of Earth observation, in particular looking at regulatory issues, best practice, working practices, legislation possibly as well in particular sectors that needs to be addressed somehow in order to optimize the uptake of Earth observation, as well as looking at things like regional service portfolios, regional economic cooperation structures, other sort of cooperation structures as well to support things like export markets, etc. So that's the three elements we're looking at. There's a bit of a flow through these as the new techniques, or new opportunities, new actors are the sort of start of the flow. We then get to a point where we can hopefully industrialize these prototype capabilities, and then these either flow into the embedding and expanding the Earth observation with us, or they go into other funding lines. Some of the activities we've been doing up until now, we hope will go into places like Destination Earth. Others may go straight to market, if we're very lucky. Others may go into the sort of incubed BAS RPA type commercialization. We don't do full commercial activities. If there's no technical risk in the activity, we wouldn't look at it. We'll send you to incubed or BAS or your RPA if you're from a country with an RPA. So that's the theory. In the idea of commercialization, we see ourselves as enablers. And yeah, that's going to be the sort of underlying idea behind all of the activities that we're doing. So into the tenders, under the new techniques, new opportunities, and new actors line, we will have a tender on, we've done a couple of tenders on this before, on new techniques and processing methods. This is joint between the industrial competitiveness, and also it's we've integrated it with an activity we're planning on Sentinel user preparation as well, looking at new techniques and processing methods for Sentinel expansion class missions as well. So this is both already available EO datasets and Sentinel expansion class datasets that we're looking at new methods for. And some of the overall idea is get these new processing methods into a state where we can try them out in at least 3 application examples. Okay, so it's not just your AI method works on the training data and that's fine. It's we're really looking for something that works in real life, and it's the basis for then follow-on commercialization actions. Priority areas that we want to look at include things like for the optical IR area, we're looking at things like video processing methods. That may include neuromorphic processing, low contrast feature extraction, low light level enhancement, all of these things that enable us to use a lot of the new lower radiometric quality constellation type systems that the overpass times might not be a nice 10:30 in the morning optimal time. They may be close to dusk, close to dawn, whatever. There'll be a lot of shadow. So how do we get these data sets more systematically used? Also, we may be looking at things like analytic methods to really exploit things like off-nadir feature recognition, SWIR-based automated feature extraction as well. I think we're looking at really how to expand the use of SWIR data in this type of capability. Also looking at other things like long wavelength SAR methods, video SAR methods, things like radar shadow behavior as a basis for analytics, etc. On AI methods, we'd like to look at things like spatial spectral signature fusion and hyperspectral data, but also for super resolution enhancement, we're very interested in the mid and thermal infrared, and also really going forward on hyperspectral super resolution with real training data, not just ideal training data. We'll also be including a sort of wildcard line in this, so there's an opportunity for industry-defined activity lines. We'll have specifications of these priority areas that we would like proposals in. If you can come along with something that can be specified to the same level and with the same demonstrated potential impact, then we'll consider the industry-defined line for that as well, at the same level as what we've already specified. We're pretty close to releasing that. That's pretty advanced. We're just waiting for the last specifications to be integrated, and then we'll get the tender out the door. Yeah, we're looking at about 5 or 6 parallel contracts, and I think the contract value was about 350k per contract. On the industrialization of innovative analytics, we've got 2 slides for you here. The first is industrialization of innovative AI methods. That's at quite an advanced stage of preparation. We're looking at about 3 to 4 contracts there. Again, that's about, I think that's 350k a shot. And this is really looking at development and verification of innovative new AI-based EO processing analysis methods. Again, the examples are going to be key here, and we're really trying to get out of the sort of widely used functionalities like deep learning based feature extraction, and really look at other lesser exploited AI capabilities, in particular things like graph AI based capabilities, causal AI based inference, etc. So they're really trying to expand the AI type of activities there. The second activity is looking at new methods for economic activity analysis. So this is really how do we improve the use of EO-based data sets and the integration of EO-based data sets with other data streams that we're still not using to the maximum extent possible. So things like transponder information, mobile network information, IoT sensor networks, information from social media, etc. But also multiple sensors as well, not just individual EO sensors. And how do we characterize economic activities in this? This is both for a standalone analysis and also as a preparation for how do we start integrating EO-derived information in these sorts of sectors with the outputs of predictive Earth system capabilities coming from destination Earth or other digital twin capabilities. So there's a sort of preparatory step for this. So we're looking at things like how do we characterize activities in things like production of primary goods like cement, steel, aluminium, etc. Manufacturing activities, construction activities, etc. These are the sort of things we're looking at. Looking to start 2 to 3 contracts in parallel, and this will be hopefully ready straight after the summer for you to get your proposal writing pens out. The last thing is on the industrialization of the innovative analytics. This is a hangover from last year. We were looking at how do we augment industrial services to support green transition. So this isn't just the economic analysis at this point. This is looking at particular sectors that are going to have to go through the green transition. It's linked to our Space for Green Future accelerator. And it's really how do we actively support these sectors. So this isn't about policy analysis or anything else. This is about the guys who are going to have to spend the money to implement the green transition. How do we support these guys go through the green transition with least pain and maximum opportunity? So we've got a number of sectors that we're considering in there. They're listed there. It's really state-of-the-art methods, both on EO, non-EO data, the data that the target stakeholders are going to have themselves. There's going to have to be quite a heavy AI-based data processing and fusion element in there. And again, this is getting up to the point where we're ready to go. We've sorted out all the technical problems, but we're not expecting full commercial activities as an immediate follow-on. We'll need a sort of commercialization stage after what we're doing there. We need to go to the IPC for this because it's quite a big bunch of money. We're looking at having this structured as a number of blocks as implemented as a frame contract with best practice elements per block. Once each block's ready, we don't think we're going to be ready all at once, and we're looking at about 500k per block. And the frame contract is going to be tendered either just before summer or just after summer. On the expand and embed EO, the third line, we've got one contract on looking at what we call EO veracity proof of concept. The idea here is, okay, up until about say level 2, level 3 data products, we've got a robust, comprehensive Cal-Val capability that it demonstrably implements peer-reviewed science and is clearly the best approach for what we're trying to do. Once we go from the data to the derived information, we don't have a structured framework for demonstrating that the information is what we say it is. And in particular, we don't have a way of demonstrating that nobody's been tampering with anything, any element of the end-to-end service chain. And if we're providing information that people are going to make decisions on, in a context where there's an increasing amount of tampered images, fake news, etc., where it's going to be increasingly important that we're able to demonstrate this. So this is getting started, really. We've done some bits and pieces like small investigations. This is really the first sort of focused contract on this. I'm really looking at what are the priority issues to be addressed in this end-to-end analysis in terms of the algorithms, in terms of training data, in terms of how we train AI models, etc. How do we effectively integrate Earth observation, non-Earth observation data, etc. So really, all of these elements in the end-to-end information generation process, we're looking at what do we have to analyze and how can that analysis be done in a credible, traceable, trustworthy and cost-effective way. So that's 400k as a single contract to get started, and that's again just before, just after summer. We've got lastly two tenders. One is how do we embed EO services within international agencies. So we've not done this for a while, and we've got quite a lot of European and regional and international organisations that are looking at a lot of the new developments that have happened, in particular things like the constellations of commercial systems becoming more and more available, so enabling a whole bunch of new services. So this is looking at how information derived from these capabilities can be provided to support the operations of these organizations. And yeah, that will be released towards the end of the year. Lastly, we're looking at how do we combine Earth observation and unstructured data in a sort of coherent, fused environment, in particular social media, commercial media, open source, public information, etc. So how do we do that really to have a wider range of analysis capabilities there? That's I think that's 750k, and that is planned for release straight after the summer. Lastly, just to highlight some workshops that we're organising to start consultations. The first one is the 29th, 31st of May. It is the attractively named SureDose. This is looking at basically what's the state of the art in super resolution data enhancement and downscaling as well. And what are the priority issues that we have to address going forward, and in particular, I mean, optical and infrared data. 12th, 13th of June, these are all in Esrin, by the way. 12th, 13th of June, we've got a workshop on environmental crimes that's jointly organised with the JRC. That's how we monitor and investigate and prevent them, not how we do them. And yeah, there was quite a lot of interest there. There'll be quite a lot of the institutional stakeholders coming to that. And lastly, 16th, 18th of September, we've got URBIS. That's a sort of state of the art in the use of Earth observation for urban analytics, etc. So the websites are there. I encourage you, as everybody else has been saying this morning, come to these workshops, make your points, get your priorities into these discussions to make sure we can address them in a structured way going forward over the next couple of years. And I'm going to stop there. Thank you very much.
Guessing is up to you.
Yes. So thank you very much for this very nice presentation. So we have now time for 15 minutes Q&A. So I said in the chat, please formulate your questions in there and then we can take it from there. So I do see that we have a few already. So one is, I think it's one for Diego. I see a question on the water cycle. So the question is, there's nothing on the ocean side of the water cycle, although I do have seen that there was a workshop. So maybe Diego, you want to come in?
Yes, this is a very good point. But I recall that there is a workshop in preparation on the salinity aspects. And as you know, salinity is one of the links between let's say the water cycle and the ocean. In this workshop, as I told you before, we expect to collect recommendations to move forward. This is a topic that we have addressed in the past. We have addressed in the past, especially related to SMOS. Is something that certainly could be a topic also for sub activities in preparation of CIMER. You will see in the presentation later of the SUP, we have an activity in the pipeline dedicated to the open ocean that will address synergies between maybe CIMER, Sentinel-3, NG, etc. That may cover aspects related to how to tackle that issue in the future, but it's right. In the activities that we have, we are not tackling right now the water cycle of the open ocean. This is true. Maybe something for the future.
Thanks a lot, Diego. So I think you guys have been extremely to the point and concrete, because so far I don't see any questions. So please feel free, audience, to shoot. We do have quite some time, because then there's also a coffee break foreseen. Okay, yeah, so we do have a question. So I see that there's a question on IPS. So there's been building a large team, the UN Habitat, GRC, NASA, and ESA, and an Earth Observation Toolkit for SDG 11. Okay, so it's more a comment. So indeed, we can see if we can link it up to that. So I think that's something that Giuseppe can take up, because he's heavily involved as well with these initiatives.
Yes, thanks for, I understand this is more a comment more than, yes, indeed. So we're closely in dialogue also with various teams in the UN Habitat and at JRC. The informal settlement also activities on the SDG is linked as well to not specifically the EO toolkit, but the various partners that have to implement and the national statistical institutions that have to take up this information. And it's a chain of knowledge. So we invest on R&D and we move the new results into operational practices. And we're very much welcome to now I don't know exactly which of this the Monica from from ITC. We will certainly we can certainly interact with we know the ITC team very, very well, so we can certainly further interact. But the for sure we have done a lot of investments on the informal settlements, also on the full urban evolutions throughout the various decades, starting from the early Landsat data. And we're bringing everything in a harmonized way to see the evolution of human settlements, and then we use this type of data sets as well for additional, let's say, action. The Urbis workshop that both Gordon and I have mentioned in our presentation will be an event during which we will continue this dialogue and building the chain of knowledge between our R&D investments and the full operational solutions. So thanks for the input.
Thanks a lot, Giuseppe. So yes, I got a few more questions now. So there's a question for the website for the conferences. So of course there are. So I think we should share this in the chat. So there's one specifically for the workshop requested for 7th and 8th of May. And then, yeah, we realized there was a lot of information, so that's a very good remark. So there's a question regarding the engine series. So there's only one project in 2024, but what can we expect after the 2024? So I don't know who's best to answer that.
That's,
Giuseppe, you would be...
Indeed. We progressively build our work plan year by year, and this is the good value as well of such flexibility that allows us to target the inputs that we receive from the various user communities and workshops that we organize. So in 2024, towards the end of 2024, we will be having proposed the work plan to our member states for approval, for review and approval, and so this is something towards the end of the year that we will plan.
Thanks. So yeah, just to clarify, Giuseppe Monica is an PI of the informal settlement project.
Perfect. So. Thank you, Monica. Thank you. Great.
So we have another question on specific ITTs for contributions dedicated to Destiny program and where they could be found.
Maybe I can reply a little bit on that. So concerning Destiny, I think all the information can be found in the Destiny website. Concerning the ITTs, I believe the best place to find it is in ESA Star. I'm too old. Concerning the ESA DT program, there is right now a call open dedicated to the digital twin components. And we plan an event, an open digital twin Earth workshop by the end of the year or maybe early 25, where all the activities will be presented and we will discuss with the community on the way forward. So that will be also an important event where you all could participate. But concerning the ITTs of the Destiny, I think the best place to get them is in the Destiny website directly and in ESA Star when they are out.
Okay, thanks, Diego. So in the meanwhile, thanks to Rune, there's also the website for this workshop on the science strategy. So please have a look who is interested. And there's another question on the ITTs, more about the e-sustainable blue economy, if the budget of the ITT is related to the Horizon Europe SPE8 budget. So I don't know, Diego, would you have?
No, I think this is for Giuseppe.
Or Giuseppe?
No, it's not related to the budget. So it's a specific ESA FutureEO budget, and of course we are in dialogue, for example, with DG Mare on the implementation of the activity. So DG Mare is part of the advisory board.
Okay. So I think the next one is also for you, but also more in general. So there's a comment saying that there's a lot of facts and information that attracts attention for Earth observation, but examples of really successful Earth observation data can also do. So do we from ESA have a set of examples of successful engagement with actors who have had to change their practices to exploit this Earth observation data? And if it's available somehow.
Yeah, absolutely. We have many good examples. I think the most successful one is also the enabling of the Common Agricultural Policy. So all the paying agencies today, they use Earth observation in their process for the subsidies allocation. We have also many of other partners, such as the FAO has full integration of many of Earth observation, let's say, derived information into their activities. But we keep on pushing forward, and we need to make sure that the practices, also the policies evolve. For example, in the new CAP, you have the eco schemes, which are in Pillar 1, and therefore might have receive a lot of also, let's say, payments due to the eco schemes in relation to the eco schemes. And we have a people project that looks into this, how EO can provide the clear, quantifiable, transparent information of the eco schemes as well into the new CAP. So it's a constant investment, but there are many good examples that can trigger either sort of commercial activities, business to public or business to business type of approaches, and so on. So, and I let also my colleagues reply, and if they want to complement this.
No, I just a small comment. I mean, the Earth observation community is larger than what we have presented today. So also there are several examples out there coming from many other activities, especially Copernicus. So you can have also a look to what the Copernicus services are providing to the user community, because many of the R&D that we do in terms of new products, new services, end up in the Copernicus service evolution. So this is also a way to somehow maintain the capacity and ensure operability of the things that we develop through the Copernicus services. And there you can find also for sure many examples about how those type of data sets and services are used by the user community.
Very true, Diego. We are, for example, the world cover activity has been integrated into the land monitoring service. We have the Medicane type of activities that also from the marine service they're picking up. So yeah, very good point.
Okay, thank you both. So we stay in the agricultural sector, and there's a question from Aiga asking about the ESA tenders for 2024. So she's proposing a solution that would help agro insurance to make better decisions on insurance compensations for farmers. So using Earth observation data, but also downstream satellite data and some trained AI models. So it seems the tool is just in an ideation stage, but so the question is, would that fall under any of the tenders for this year? So I think Giuseppe and Gordon. Gordon, you're muted if you want to say something.
I can say something on the science side. We have a dedicated activity to explore new ways to look at agriculture under stress and try to identify better the different type of stressors. That is obviously quite on the science side, so in the sense that we will try to put in place an experiment with in situ data, in situ devices and satellite together, try to explore capabilities that we don't have today. More on the application side, probably Giuseppe and Gordon can tell you more.
I would suggest to look at the permanently open call. The next deadline is 30th of May. We're going to the open call, but you can get started trying stuff out for this under the call. You decide what you do there, not us.
And by the way, as I said before, there is a workshop that we are preparing on agriculture with many scientific and application aspects will be discussed. And as I said before, participating to those events and really telling us what are the priorities for you could be very important for us, because we can build on those recommendations and prepare dedicated activities that may somehow respond to the needs of the community. So do it.
Yeah. Let me also complement that the agro-insurance community, it's a community that we've been talking to extensively. We have organized as well dedicated, let's say, knowledge capacity events for them. Recently, last year, we had various meetings with, I don't want to say names, but various meetings in Eastern Europe as well for agro-insurance companies that cover and provide products, insurance products across Eastern Europe. These are major companies that are really doing, let's say, also developing, thanks to Earth observation as well, new type of insurance products, really tailored to the needs of different customers. And last but not least, I think Gunther later on will present a dedicated call that will be targeting from the thematic perspective, also climate adaptation aspects in terms of providing actionable information. And one of these themes is adaptive agriculture. So there is something there as well that is linked to this.
Thanks to all of you for this very nice explanation. So in the meanwhile, also the link to this conference is in the chat. So who's interested? So as Diego was saying, please talk to us so that we can better address really the user's need. So we have time for a few more questions before we will break for a little moment. So I don't see any more questions popping up. Okay, we do have one. So Christophe is there. So he's asking general information on current and future tenders for novel methods or applications uptake and increasing of intellectual infrastructure capacity of participating contractors. I think that's a bit for all of you. I don't know who wants to comment on this. Maybe the best would be to go to the websites also, where we can find all the information.
I'm not sure I
Again,
capture fully the question, but maybe.
Yeah, I would suggest the open call is a good
The open
place
call
to.
as well.
Also.
Yeah, it's a question for information, so I think we should point to the right
Yeah.
website.
I would also suggest if you're in a country that has a requesting party activity program line, that's perfect. That's ideally suited to that sort of capacity development activity as well. And that's, you know, the idea is strengthen competitiveness for participation in optional programs like FutureEO. So we can do something in FutureEO, start with the open call, or look at the requesting party activity program line. Talk to your delegation.
Thanks, Gordon. We're waiting for more questions. So actually now also in the chat, you can find a link for that open call that Gordon was describing. So please have a look.
And there'll be a presentation on it after coffee. So.
Yeah, exactly. So at 12:35, we will discuss that open call. So please stay tuned. So we have time for a few more questions, if any. So I see the people are thanking all of you. So excellent presentation. So thank you very much for this feedback. So the comment is, as the Earth Observation Research Committee grows, it is challenging to develop links with potential collaborators. So the question is more a general one, but a great one, I think. Is there anything we can do more to increase networking among Earth observation specialists?
Maybe I can reply on what we
Yeah.
do on the science side. So as you saw in my presentation, I have explained that we are working through what we call clusters. Those clusters are not only collection of projects, but also in those clusters we have annual meetings with everybody, all the different teams that participate to those activities associated to a particular science domain, meet together, present the activities, we discuss priorities, we set together targets for the future. And in each of those calls in the ITTs on Science, we always offer options for additional collaborative work across projects. This is mainly because we see the huge opportunities that we have when different activities are tackling maybe different aspects of the same big question. And many of the work plans that we prepare progressively somehow bring together different activities that somehow in the beginning have started separated. So for us, all these are building blocks of a bigger picture. Networking and collaboration is really part of the strategy that we are following in the science part. And you will see that through the clusters, we promote that collaboration across projects, and also through the Science Hub, we are trying to do even that more closely with ESA experts. So for sure, you will see in the ITTs that we are launching in the science activities, and also in the activities that we promote, collaboration, networking, and partnership, also with other projects beyond ESA, especially the projects of the Commission, is part of the strategy, mainly for precisely what you say.
Thanks a lot, Diego. So link to what Diego was saying. So there's also the link to the Science Hub as he presented earlier in the chat. So please have a look if you're interested. So thanks for all these questions. So I think we have time for one more. And so the question is, if we seek collaboration with the legal experts from FinTech and investment for IPS, and in case, how can we proceed? I don't know who wants to comment on that one. Maybe
definitely let's get in touch and we can definitely discuss on this. So absolutely.
Yeah. So you've seen they all put their individual emails, so please get in touch with us. Okay. So if there's no more specific questions for this block, I don't see any, then I would maybe propose, although we still have 5 minutes foreseen, so don't be shy. So no, I don't see anything coming in. So then thanks again to all the speakers. I think there was a great overview. So I would propose also now we take a break and we'll come back in 20 minutes from now. And then we start with the part on the digital innovation. So thanks very much for this interactive session. And thanks again to all the presenters. That was great. So see you in 20 minutes. So welcome back, everybody. So this is the Earth Observation Science for Society Info Day, FutureEO. So we had already the topics of science, applications, and industrial competitiveness. And so we continue with digital innovation. So the floor is to Günther Gahngraff. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Inge. Can you see my slides? Can you hear me?
Yes, we do.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Günther Landgraf. I'm the head of the digital platform section. Digital innovation is not a separate topic, let's say it's a supporting topic for the others. You see here in the first slide all the members of the team that are supporting me, and you will find their email addresses if you want to contact them for detailed questions. You will find their email addresses. So we heard about science application and enterprise industrial action, and I think my colleagues mentioned several times Earth Code, APEX, Network of Resources. So we are trying in digital innovation to support the action with the means that modern ICT technology can give us, especially working on the clouds. So we are providing open science environments for the science, application propagation environments, to further evolve the application for the applications. And let's say what we provide then for industrialization, commercialization, down to the accelerators, we call information factories. And I will explain this in detail. All of this is based on cloud-based collaboration, sharing, and production environments for which we develop OPOS. And concretely, what we've procured already last year. Let's start from the bottom. I think Rune mentioned the term infrastructure. So the infrastructure is out of the scope of digital innovation. So this is provided by the Copernicus data-based ecosystem. You see it at the bottom here, and eventually national infrastructures. What we are doing is we try to make best use of this for science application and industry projects. And we've seen in the past that these actors, to make best use of the cloud, of the infrastructure services, they need people that help them. And this is industry, and you see here all these three boxes with the wheels, that this is environments that support the action of others, environments that host scientific workflows, that host application workflows. It can become information factories in the service of who is providing the content. But let's say the industry that is behind these environments, they have to be experts on how to best use the clouds to scale up the applications, to run them efficiently and reliably. All of these resources, these environments, and also the infrastructure, we have put together in the so-called network of resources. You have seen that, and let's say the network of resources basically is all what you can use today operationally to help you. It's the ecosystem for sharing, collaboration, and execution. That should become the ecosystem for service provisioning. And I come back to network of resources later, so we will help you in using the resources, these resources also economically. The flows that you see on the upper front is an ideal vision of the future. We have seen in the last programmatic review that our science and application R&D results are very, very forward-looking, but we have to support more that they can be reused always by other actors, and this is what we try to achieve. A very concentrated action with my colleagues Diego, Giuseppe, and Gordon. So for the science, of course, we start supporting the Earth science community in understanding the Earth. There is the science research projects, which are executed by scientists and research institutes, and we support them in the Earth code framework to really do open science that is reusable. So Earth code will be a reusable science repository that is leveraging the actors that are here on the bottom with the wheels who can host the science experiments. Ideally, will not be always the case, but let's say we want to increase the percentage of reuse. What then application projects, reuse of that. Yeah? So probably in the application projects, we will not have scientists anymore. We'll still have research institutes, and we will have the space value adders. And the results of these projects should come into this Apex application propagation environment repository. And here we are still at the technology level where we would really like that this is open source, that others can build on that, and should remain available in an executable way on these actors that support this below. There are already several actors that can do this in network of resources, but it's an open environment that should grow, and we provide the open source also for that. Afterwards, Gordon's section should start the first step really of administration. So then the actors here really should be the space value adders, who sometimes are, or in many cases, are companies that don't have a culture and also don't have the size to really provide a 24/7 operational service. And the people at the bottom who implement these information factories should help these guys that what they do is really becomes fully operational and usable by the people on the right. So the Earth Action community, we call it here, so who's doing the decision making or the monitoring. You see already here the yellow arrows, we are starting to be in these projects in contact with them. Often we have seen that this finishes with a technical viability. We show that it's useful, but then how people pay for that and who pays for that maybe needs an additional step, which I would call commercialization. And maybe commercialization is done by the people who actually serve this Earth Action community, which is not a space community. So maybe we try to put in the loop and make the life easier for system integrators who actually don't know anything about space and who use the results that the space value adders have produced in the past. Now, going a bit, so this is the new, the Earth code and the Apex already have been last year. Information factories are on the table for this year. I go a bit more in detail how this should work. And I really would like to stay on the top. We are very closely working with Giuseppe in particular, because we want to really start from the operational stakeholder. You see them in this case, this nicely looking civil servant or industry planner has to be in the center of this procurement, and we really have to address the needs of this sector in this procurement or in this initiative. So we're speaking of people working in green transition or climate adaptation, and we do assume the blue box on the top that they have an information system already that supports them. But what we want to do is that in this information system, they get more customized actual information that includes also space data. And we want to rely here on the people on the left, the non-space information system integrator, who already are supporting these people with their information system. They have the domain expertise, and they should be helped in putting the puzzle together of, you see them on the right, the non-space data, often regional or local data, together with what's coming here from the bottom. What's coming here from the bottom is space-based information, okay, which our value adders have put together and should offer as an readily usable services. So what we want to achieve in these information factories, which is these two light blue boxes, is have an environment, an industrial operated environment, where these actors, the information system integrators, can easily integrate space-based information with the regional information to bring the right type of information into the information system of these actors. Okay? And we're looking for industrial actors who want to operate this as an environment. Similar to what we've done before, I want to go a bit to the gray area where you see here on the right is written existing. It's existing in the sense that you already have procurements to do that, but who wants to jump in this area? We are happy to help here, because we think this eventually is an integrated environment that bring space information as a service, and the environments which bring domain information as a service. In these pathfinders, we want to see, can this be shared environments? But we are sure it have to be environments of people that operate this as a service, but who are also developed together with us the software for this environment as a service. So let's go a bit to the lower environment. Maybe some of you find themselves already here. Otherwise, we can help you to come here. So it's environment where we help the space value adders host the algorithm to provide a 24/7 services. And typically we assume it's hosted on the Copernicus data space ecosystem or national infrastructures. We already actions outside digital innovation have taken place that all the space data is readily there. Okay? So we want now really to try to explore the step, go from here, from space information as a service to domain information as a service, not only technically. As part of our action, we want to explore also who can pay the upper yellow arrow, who can pay for that. Can this be really something where industry can have a role and where industry action can be funded, providing this as a service? And let's say this is the biggest procurement action we do today. We call it Information Factory Pathfinders, national and regional, for climate adaptation and green transition. What you have in the first box, Explore, is a bit the writing, the summary of what I've told before. We want to have sustainable production chains, which are stakeholder driven, And we assume that you will have to manage here the availability of shared local data. So it requires the ability to engage with the national or regional, local, or whatever data owners it is, or maybe also from other sectors, but that you have an agreement with them to make the data accessible in this environment. At the end, what shall this environment achieve? To supply non-space information system integrators with a commercially operated environment where they can easily, and easily means from an idea within 2 weeks, to provide actionable information that is operationally and sustainably provided to support the operational implementation entities, what we call the operational stakeholders, to support them in the action on the national or regional green transition and adaptation. Okay, so I repeat, it's operational stakeholder driven. Our target topics, preferred topics is urban resilience, adaptive agriculture, and energy transition. We would like that in this action to attract the non-space data relevant for these actions, for the policy-driven high priority topics that we have said before. It will be good if you have some link to the data spaces that are created in other environments. You have to host the third-party algorithm providers to create a sustained service with 24/7 operations support. I want to warn you, in this action, we don't want to have new application development. So partner with people who have already an application that they want to integrate into these environments to show what they can get out of it and show to operational stakeholders how useful this can be for them. And last but not least, or it's actually the first thing, we want to explore sustainable models. So at the end, someone has to pay for this chain. We want to focus on nature-based solutions, and we want to fit the context of the national strategies. This is very important. This is why the invitation that comes below is in red. We plan this only for December 24, so there's plenty of time. But meanwhile, we want to engage with you. We want to help you to involve your delegation to fit this national strategy, to discuss this with you together, because I think your delegation will have to help you to interact with the national non-space data providers and with the national regional green transition stakeholders. So if you want to have this as your commercial strategy for your company, to have a role there, together, let's engage with your delegation and see how we bring all of these actors together and all of these findings that we have from this process. We can then also build into the statement into the procurement. The important thing, I want to repeat it again because it's important, it is stakeholder driven. So if you don't have a real stakeholder that really is curious to learn how to get value out of space in their operational day-to-day action, we don't do anything. So if we say we award up to 5 contracts for excellent proposal, the excellence really has to be this engagement of this stakeholder. We assume we build contracts that last about 2 years and have €1 million per contract, and we will see how many can build up over this period. The action is coordinated by Dr. Zainab Gurerao, and if you're interested, please contact her for a follow-up. In Topol building block evolution, so we help you to use open source, but you should then become also contributors for these information factories, or generally for the action on interoperable open science. We have an international action on that, which is on the left. This OGC, together with NASA and the national space agencies, national actors, we are investing in a persistent demonstrator to show how reproducible and interoperable open science can work on an international level. It is on interface standardization, component development, science experiment hosting. There will be an OGC RFQ coming out over this year, 500K in total. If you want to contribute to that, contact Claudio Jacobino to understand how you can best contribute and you can give. If instead, again on the information factories, this is a second route to do your information factory. If you have a strong national engagement and you have an industry from which you return critical member states, come with your delegation if there's a strong national contribution. We can discuss if you do something, the 500K order in direct negotiation, but then you really should, applies also to the other, strong engagement to contribute to our open source, strong engagement in OpenEO, in the OGC application portability, and eventually in GaiaX, we would be also interested to have you there if you can bring a link to GaiaX. For the rest, see the previous slide. But for the geo-return critical countries, we can also do this. Contact point is always Claudio Jacobino again. Then Diego mentioned the Earth Code, and I've presented it before. We will have three, let's say, work streams tackled in a single procurement that comes out very, very soon. Hopefully April. Anka has written Q2 here, you see on the bottom. It's a single best practice ITT. It will be issued by Telespazio UK on ESA, 750K to work on these three work streams. One is the infrastructure, and maybe it should be called more environment providers that can host the science workflows, supporting fair and open science principles. We will have here some primary node providers that we integrate here to have to push forward the action and what we need on this in standards and what would become virtual lab. You see here OpenEO, OGC application package, definition of needed services that we will integrate here in the Earth Code contract. On the fair open science, we are aiming more for experts and providers of tools from the scientific area. What we have to do here and divide guidelines and provide support to the science community on how we can best use digital innovation for that. And in work stream 3, of course, we want to do a very strong community engagement on that. And we look for someone who is expert on that, guides us, supports us in work streams 3. If you're interested, please contact Anka for more detailed information and follow up. Sorry, there's a duplication, so maybe there's a here with the slides. We'll see if some topic is missing. Showcasing and feedback exercises. Of course, we also want to have feedback from you, and we have two things: the Open Earth Science Pathfinders, where there's an open ITT. So I'm not allowed to say anything about that. It closes very soon. But still, if you're interested in that, if you have done a science project and want to understand how can I bring my science project in the Earth Code environment, please contact us. But I've not put a contact point here yet because, let's say, we're still as part of the Open ITT. In Q2, we also want to show an example of information as a service provisioning from this product. You have seen this as the lower yellow arrow. the second slide. And we want to invest around 400 to 600K, possibly more 400, in taking an open source algorithm and converting it to an on-demand service that people can use and abuse. We were thinking maybe send for CAP, but let's say if you have some feedback, if you have something to propose, please come back to Patrick Griffiths on the bottom here. And as a matter of fact, there is the network of resources slides missing, which I don't know why. There has something happened with the presentation, so I have to present this to you.
If you want, I can share maybe a previous version of the slide quickly.
If you're able to do this quickly, yes.
Is this the one?
I don't know if you go below to slide 8.
That's the one I'm showing.
Perfect. So if you can go to presentation mode. Thank you. So you see, this is all fantastic teamwork, and thank you, Giuseppe.
Welcome.
For the network of resources, you find on ESA Star under the REA non-ESA tenders, the provider onboarding open call. Yeah? So if you think you have cloud infrastructures to provide where you have interesting space data already available, please make an offer here. If you think you have an environment that helps science and application people to operate and host their workflow on the cloud, please respond here. The call is open since February, and we are waiting that you engage with your industrial offering to support the science community. And what can the science community then do? This you find on the right box. Science community can ask for project sponsoring, and we are spending 2 million per year on the providers that are onboarding the left box to provide free at point of use services, commercial services for R&D. Okay. And we also support, if you want really with your service, support the EarthCo and the Apex, where we will require that you support the OpenEO or the OGC application hosting standards. We will support you also in the cost to make your environment interoperable. So once you're onboarded, we can discuss this, and for geo-return critical providers, we will do this in direct negotiation, spending around 100K per year for 5 providers. So this is what the network of resources can bring to you. And I think I have covered everything I wanted to cover. So I think the next is Giuseppe with the SUP.
That's correct. Let me just bring the slides up. All right. So I just have a few, one introductory slide for those that do not know the Sentinel User Preparation Initiative, and then present one currently open ITT, and then pass the floor to Diego. So the Sentinel User Preparation Initiative is part of the FutureEO programmatic element of ESA. It was built and shaped together in close synergy with the European Commission, and it's looking at the building the expertise inside the academia, inside of industry, in preparation to the future Sentinel expansion missions, and progressively as well the next generation Copernicus missions. The aim is really to have these two groups of entities ready to exploit the data once the missions will be launched, and not instead wait for a few years before these entities are able to exploit effectively the upcoming data sets. It's therefore let's say a de-risking type of investments that we're doing to really maximize the return on investments on the space sector segment. There will be, so let me move rapidly into the current open ITT that we have. There are a number of lines and elements that we're not here diving into, but the current open ITT that we have, it's called SUP application preparedness with stakeholders and end user participation. It's a 15 million, it's actually fixed call for proposal that will trigger various contracts, 800K for each contract and a 2-year implementation plan. This is the link of the ITT. The deadline is the 9th of April. We have already extended it various times following requests by the bidders. And now this is a fixed deadline, so it's quite short. But still, if you go online, if you want to see who is participating on ESA-STAR, you might get in touch with a different consortia and so on, because it's quite a short deadline to start from scratch something by the 9th of April. But still, I wanted to share this information with you and make sure that all entities are well informed. Having said that, well, I can just capture very rapidly what the ITT is all about. It's developing, validating novel advanced EO applications information products, bringing a multi-mission approach. So we're moving from the single mission, let's say the project perspective, that are building the missions at the moment as we stand, and we want to dive into a multi-mission approach. So this is a core specification of the ITT, and making sure, again, as Gunther said, that we aim at interoperability and reusability. We are asking for the proactive involvement of stakeholders and end users, and of course the development and delivery of a representative data set. The ITT is open, so I cannot provide further or respond to further questions. These are the information that are out there in the on ESA-STAR, and there has been already many clarifications that have been issued for this ITT. So if you have further questions, please go through the ESA-STAR process for clarifications. With that, I pass the floor to Diego.
Thank you very much, Giuseppe. So very fast on a number of activities that we are preparing in the preparation of let's say the scientific aspects of SUP. One aspect that we are considering obviously very seriously is the evolution of important toolboxes that are downloaded by more than 1 million users, which is for instance a SNAP. So we need to prepare for the Sentinel expansion missions, and we need to prepare for the evolution of a SNAP. We have 2 activities in the pipeline. One will be 2 parallel small studies to define how best we could develop a SNAP in the era of the Sentinel expansion missions, taking into account that the software that we have today is getting a little bit oldie. So that will be a complete reshuffle of a SNAP in terms of capabilities, and try to have a state-of-the-art toolbox that can support the community. So we will have this call very soon. The idea is probably to have it after summer. This will be 2 studies in parallel, probably managed by 2 different scientific teams to get a better idea what could be a SNAP in the future. For today, in practical terms, to support the SNAP as it is today, to already start serving a number of mission families that are close to the missions that we will have a number of activities dedicated to incorporate capabilities in the areas of hyperspectral, passive microwave, etc., to support also multi-frequency SAR processing aspects that can already prepare the community to use a number of proxy data sets that already exist that can also serve as precursors for what is coming. We are also preparing a number of training events. These training events that we will have in the coming few years will address a number of aspects related to the coming Sentinel missions, so we will inform you as soon as we decide when these events are taking place.
Diego, you're muted. I don't know why.
Sorry, I don't know why. So we are preparing a number of ITTs for scientific studies that are trying to look at the specific aspects and specific science domains. One is dedicated to a SWOT data analysis and synergistic study for Sentinel-3 NG. Okay, this is probably will be 2 dedicated studies in parallel. It's still not clear, but we will address all aspects related to these new capabilities, especially taking into account that we have SWOT flying, and that is a super big advantage in order to explore how this new type of data can be used in different contexts. We are also preparing a number of what we call foundational multi-data integrated experiments on different domains. These will be experiments including campaigns, in situ data collection, and especially the somehow developing of a data set that can simulate somehow some of these missions that we are preparing, together with a lot of in situ data that may allow us to make dedicated scientific experiments well in detail. So we'll have a number of them. We will have one dedicated to coastal areas, and in particular to look at coastal ecosystems, carbon and biology, trying to look especially to the synergic aspects that we could find across CHIME, LSTN, Sentinel-2NG, Sentinel-3NG, etc. Everything that is, let's say, higher resolution capabilities for the coastal areas. The other one that we are preparing will be on the polar regions. This is mainly taking into account the huge capacity that we will have associated to not only the microwave family, but maybe all the Sentinel-1, Roselle, CMIR, Crystal, etc. It's not only dedicated to sea ice, but will mainly dedicated to sea ice ocean interactions aspects. It will cover also some snow aspects, especially snow on sea ice and other particular aspects that are difficult to model today. And this is what we are trying to do also in Q3 2024.
Diego, you're muted again. I don't know when this slide changes.
Okay, sorry. Other 3 activities that we are trying to launch also this year, but by the end of the year will be one dedicated to the terrestrial biosphere. This is again a campaign trying to look at different aspects of water, vegetation, carbon components, addressing different biomes in the terrestrial biosphere, but with a strong focus on forest aspects. The other one will be also an integrated experiment with in situ data, etc., to address the connection soil, water, and agriculture. Also, high resolution assessment here, Sentinel-1, Roselle, CHIME, LSTM, Sentinel-2NG. So we have a lot of potential to do multi-sensor studies, and we are trying to build an experiment to help us with that. The other one we are preparing is also is 800K, not 8000K. Will be on atmospheric science. This is about simulating top of atmosphere data that may come from the different sentinels, both medium resolution and high resolution in order to have a kind of representative set of simulated data over a number of areas and to explore opportunities for synergic retrievals across different aspects of atmospheric science. And I think, next one, because I think that's all. Okay, yes, sorry. Two activities that we are preparing is on the, this is very close to be launched. This is dedicated to SARs, only SAR. It's called SAR Soup. It's somehow built based on the recommendations that we got from PollinSAR, CSAR, and Fringe. It's about SAR multi-frequency, synergic aspects, and also advanced polarimetric studies. It will address a number of priorities that we have been collected by in these workshops. This includes different aspects, so we'll have different activities in parallel. In overall, the budget that we have for this activity is in the order of 2 million, 2.5 million, dedicated to several activities across different domains that covers things like multi-frequency, SAR for soil moisture, vegetation water content, so water-related aspects, glacier mass balance, that means dynamic mass loss, velocities, etc. Snow products, including different type of parameters to characterize dry, wet extent, water, liquid content, snow density, and other parameters that we can try to develop with multi-frequency and multi-parametric and multipolarimetric data, etc. So a fully dedicated call for SAR retrievals. The other one we have in preparation for the latest this year is on the order of 1 million euro and will be dedicated to ocean data gaps. And that will cover synergies across mainly CMIR, Sentinel-C, NG, Sentinel-3, NG, and SAR missions to address ocean dynamics, sea atmosphere interactions, and potentially ocean biology, ocean heat context, and other particular aspects where the combination of the different missions that we will have over the ocean may address. And this is the last one for sure. Thank you. You are muting.
Inge, you're muted, but I think, no, we don't hear you. At least I don't hear you. Okay, then the next on the agenda is the open call with Gordon presenting. Gordon, you're also muted, huh? In case you're talking.
All right, I'm just sharing my slides. Just can you see that?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay, so 10 minutes on the permanently open call that's come up a couple of times so far. So this is the third phase we've been running. We started in 2018. This was requested by member states so that not all the activities done under FutureEO Block 4 were defined by us. They wanted a mechanism for people to propose stuff directly for contracts rather than a sort of extended process where we have a discussion on the work plan and things get integrated, and maybe 18 months later we got a contract. So we've got this open call. The objectives, we're really looking for innovative new developments, and we're really looking for the rapid verification that these sort of innovative ideas are credible, can be done. Really a verification of a proof of concept, if you like. The scope covers the entire spectrum of FutureEO Block 4. So all of the things you've seen today. this morning. So the Earth observation exploitation. That scope's important. I'll come back to it. The implementation approach, we have a number of submission deadlines, 3 per year, every 4 months. There's a template in which we ask you if you want to propose something, you use the proposal template submitted to ESA Star in the normal way. And we run a tender evaluation board against standard tender criteria, which are published as part of the tender documentation that you can see if you access ESA Star to get access to the tender. And this includes the consideration of the innovation impact of the proposed development with respect to current state of the art. To date, we've had round about 800 proposals. We've placed around 200 contracts. I mean, it's quite a heavy burden on us on the evaluation and on the administration for things like negotiation and contract placing. I mean, that's quite a large number of contracts per year. By a massive statistical inference, you can work out that if we've got about 800 proposals, 200 contracts, the success rate is round about 1 in 4. If you're submitting a lot of proposals in the past and you're not successful at that sort of level, get in touch. We should maybe do a bit more of a structured debriefing than just the individual debriefings on to unsuccessful bidders. We are getting a consistently high quality of proposals in each batch. So what we did was we increased the available budget for this phase of the call so that we could have a higher number of proposals selected per submission. With the template, what we found is that the success rate for new actors is basically the same as for experienced bidders. So don't let the fact that you've not done many proposals in the past put you off. It's a fairly simple, straightforward approach, and it seems to be really leveling the playing field. So it's not like the guys who've been around for 20 years know all the secret words to put in the proposal. It's everybody's in the same boat. We also allow proposals to be resubmitted, not forever, but if you submit, you're unsuccessful, you do a debrief, and if as part of the debrief you decide you want to resubmit, then that's fine, but you can't keep resubmitting 15 times, getting progressively, a 5 mark increase every time. I mean, that's at a certain point, look, it's not worth it. Yeah, and we've been really working to ensure that the process is optimized, and in particular communication and debriefing with unsuccessful bidders is faster. In the past, we weren't allowed to talk to unsuccessful bidders until we'd signed all the contracts with the successful one. And we got our contracts office and our procurement department to actually change the rules to let us let unsuccessful bidders know at the same time as successful bidders, so that we can do debriefs more or less on a timescale that lets you submit to the next batch if you're not successful. So like I say, it's all elements of Block 4, and we're looking for innovation. This phase, we've got 2 lines of activity. There's the conventional innovative projects as for previous calls, and the maximum value there is 200k instead of the previous value of 150k. And we've also got a new, smaller, more rapid actions supporting line. So it's the sort of thing that we were doing in the past, linked to things like the race dashboard and stuff like that. So if you want to try things out that are smaller, we've got this 100k line that is less onerous in terms of what we ask for, and a simpler evaluation process. Like I say, there's 3 submission batches per year. Next submission deadlines are the 30th of May and the 30th of September. It takes us about 2 months to go from the submission deadline to a negotiation, maybe slightly faster. It's not possible to go, we're never going to get below 5 or 6 weeks, because we don't know what's coming in each batch. So, and we want to make sure that there's at least 2 ESA experts providing technical reviews of the proposal, either in the TB or as a tender evaluation panel, In order to get these experts, these are selected at the tender opening board for each batch. So these guys don't know that they're going to be asked to do a review. They can't plan for it, so we need to let them have some time to be able to do a proper review and make sure your proposals are treated fairly and comprehensively. So it does take a bit of time, I'm afraid. But like I say, I mean, we're at the 2 month, 6 weeks to 2 months, going from submission to agreement to place contracts, which is pretty good. We reserve the right to include priority foci for batches. It doesn't really influence or impact the evaluation. It's not like if you're not putting something in for what we say is as a focal activity, you get lower marks. You'll get the same. I mean, they'll be evaluated the same, but it's more a sort of communication exercise, reminding you that certain things might be interesting to try out. And yeah, we've improved the communication. Some notification or some information on lessons we've learned and issues that we're facing. Firstly, try and focus on the scope of the activity. It's 200k max. So it's a small, quick and dirty verification. Concentrate on that. We don't need all the gubbins round about like WMS, WCPS infrastructure and all of that type of thing. Concentrate on the verification activity. Otherwise, it's you're never going to be able to do anything useful in the money. And then all of the other stuff, we can look at it as a basis of follow-on activity, either in ESA, outside of ESA, whatever. But concentrate on what needs to be demonstrated in the try it and see action, and that should be doable within the 200k. Remember, it's the block 4 exploitation. So things that may not be in scope include things like theoretical assessments, things like mission concept studies or stuff like that. That's out of scope. There has to be some EO data exploitation as part of the activity you're proposing. We get proposals regularly that are basically commercial demonstrations with new customers. If there's no sort of fundamental technical innovation and technical risk reduction, it's not really for us, and we would suggest you go to other programs like Incubed, BAS, your national requesting party activity program if you're in a country with one of them. So they're much more focused on commercial, the sort of commercialization side of things. We're at the point where you're ready to we go to the point where you're ready to be commercial, but we're not supporting one commercial guy against another in this call. Being part of a larger development where we only fund a small part of the development, I mean, that's getting a bit messy, and it's quite difficult to address that in the call. If you're looking at development of applications or science based exclusively on non-satellite data, we don't consider that in scope. In particular, if you're looking at the outputs of the Copernicus services alone, without any actual Earth observation data in there, we wouldn't consider that in scope. And the guys who are responsible for expanding the use of the Copernicus services, it's on the Commission side. It's in particular, I would suggest you go and have a chat with USPA on that. And also, if the core issues don't relate to Earth observation data as well, then that's probably not in scope. To submit a proposal, it's a template. Just fill it in. What do you want to develop and what's it for? Make it clear what you actually want to develop. I mean, we do get a lot of excited people, a bit less now, or a bit fewer now, but in the past we're getting a lot of excited people, telling us that climate change is happening and all sorts of bad things are happening, and can we have 150k? And it's quite difficult to find out what they actually want to develop. We need to understand, what do you want to develop? What's it for? What will it do? Okay, what is the target requirements that you're trying to meet? I mean, we have to assess this. Okay, so we have to assess, does this make sense? Does you do your technical methodology? Is it fit for purpose, etc.? So, we need all of this information to assess whether your proposal makes sense. Also, what's the innovation elements with respect to current state of the art? And the technical problems that you're trying to address. this is absolutely fundamental. I'll come back to this, but it's really important that you take this seriously. It's part of the evaluation. It's an important part of the evaluation in terms of the weighting. So what are the problems in your proposed development and what you propose to do about them? And why should we do this activity? What's what the further exploitation, the impact, etc. Okay, so really, I mean, make sure that's not just write stuff and you're compliant. I mean, it's a competitive assessment of each of these elements against the other proposals. So the better, the more focused you are there, the higher the mark and the more likely we are to place a contract rather than giving you a debrief. Also, what are the technical steps to be executed? That's really important as well. Give us an idea of what you're doing. Don't just list the steps. Let us know. Give us enough information that we can figure out that, or we can understand that technically what you want to do will result in you achieving the target objectives and addressing the target requirements. Note for any of the stuff that we've done this morning, but in particular the open call, there's no need for a letter of support for your national delegation, so don't mess around with anything like that. You just give us the proposal and that's fine. Just some general issues to take into account. Okay, firstly, your proposal is evaluated by technical experts in ESA, not by venture capitalists, not by technology journalists, so keep it focused. Don't give us the oversell or whatever. Keep your proposal text focused on the the technical issues, and that's what we're assessing. Remember, we can only assess what's written in the proposal. We're not allowed to bring external information into an assessment. So even if you've been working with us for hundreds of years and we know that you're good guys, we're not allowed to bring that into the evaluation. We can only go on what's written in the proposal. Also, there's no constraint on the number of proposals you can submit, either any particular batch or overall. And in fact, there's been a number of occasions where a single bidder has been successful in getting more than one activity through on the same batch. So, I mean, we don't constrain that sort of thing because people find all sorts of messy workarounds if we do constrain it. So, it's more a constraint on the bidders. If you can handle multiple proposals of high quality, then fine. It's we don't have a way of saying they're already getting this this contract, so we're not going to give them any other. We're not going to give them another for the time being. We can't say that. It's not part of the evaluation. We take the top proposals, and there may be the same entity in more than one time, and it's happened. Yeah, more specific considerations, like say, what is the innovative content? Really make that clear. Explain the innovation. It's not you fill in the bit on innovation and that's it, job done. You really have to demonstrate the innovative content of the proposal, and the fact that you have the capability to address the underlying technical issues. The sort of the feasibility, the discussion of problem areas. We're not looking for. This is not a sort of project management issue. It is really, you want to do something innovative. There are a whole bunch of technical issues associated with realizing that innovation. What are these? Otherwise, other people would probably have done this before. So what are the fundamental technical issues, and what's your clever approach for addressing them? Give us that clearly in the explanation in the proposal, and we're in a good place. Don't use ChatGPT. We're starting to see ChatGPT in proposals. It doesn't help. It doesn't do anything on the technical content. It just makes the stuff more flowery. So don't do that. And like I say, keep the scope focused on the fundamental technical issues to be addressed. Anything else, we can do it once you've addressed the fundamental feasibility thing. So let's just walk through. We're addressing innovative development that will contain technical issues that have to be resolved. So you give us these what these problems are and what's your proposal for addressing them, and then the technical steps that you outline should contain information that lets us see how you're addressing these problems. If we can find all of that, then I say we're in a good place, and we're hopefully having a negotiation with you, not a debrief. Other issues on the starting point on the scope. We're not totally blue sky. I mean, we're as blue sky as we can be, but if work package, remember, this is a proposal. It's a technical proposal. It's it's a proposal to do actual activities. If you're coming along where you've got a user and you want to develop a prototype application, and your work package one is, wow, we got this user, and so work package one is user requirement collection. If you don't have the requirements, at least to a certain stage of maturity that gives you a basis for understanding what sort of target performance you're going to have to do and what the technical steps are on the application and service capability development, then this isn't a proposal. Okay, it's a vague collection of philosophical statements, etc. It's not a proposal. Where if you've got work package, if your work package is starting from scratch with user requirement collection, you're probably too early in the scope to be successful in the call. We would encourage you to have discussions with the users before you submit the proposal, have at least a first idea or enough understanding of the user requirements that you can build all the rest. You can consolidate stuff, tweak things, but you should have a core idea of the requirements before you're getting started. Okay, so we can't do a technical assessment of your proposal if we don't know what the user requirements are. Something else that comes up relatively frequently is we want to develop a prototype application, and it's going to be using a machine learning based processing method, and we're going to have, again, work package, whatever, is going to be a literature review to identify the model approach. Again, if you don't know what the model that you're going to use is, any of the technical description from then on is meaningless because you don't have the model in there. So we're not saying everything has to, all I's dotted and all T's crossed, but there should be enough information there for us to do let's say a technical assessment of the machine learning model as fit for purpose and your technical steps in putting that in place, including the training data. Remember, training and stuff has to be handled in there as well. AI and machine learning doesn't mean magic happens. And yeah, just say that again. AI is not magic. It doesn't enable magic to happen, and it doesn't enable you to ignore laws of physics. Models need training data and training, and are you using the best model? So AI is not, if you're coming along with something AI, make sure we've got all that information that we can assess your proposal. Otherwise, we have to, or we're forced to say this isn't addressed in the proposal, and you get lower marks on things like the technical steps. On the technical steps, don't just list the steps. Give us enough information that we can understand what you're doing in there, so that we can verify that your approach is credible. That's one of the evaluation criteria, is the the credibility of your technical solution. So give us enough information that we can do that. Important as well, make sure there's some verification and validation in there. I mean, it's not just does it work. It does it work, and is the information verified or validated to an extent to give us an understanding if this has been successful or not. This includes things like the selection of test areas. If you're testing a particular area, why are you using that particular area? Is it representative sufficiently? Does it enable the verification to be sufficiently fit for purpose? How is the information generation process to be validated, etc.? I mean, it's not just a one-off. We should have some sort of assessment in there as well. Also, on the input data, yes, Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2 are free and open, but they may not be the right data sets for what you're trying to use. So make sure you're demonstrating the spatial resolution, the revisit, latency, etc. are fit for purpose, that you're able to detect the features or the changes or whatever you're looking for. If you're doing a demonstration that's using very high resolution commercial data, if that demonstration is using a small number of data and you're looking to scale up to something large, is this totally viable using these sorts of more expensive data sets? So that's going to be something we would look at as well. So take that into account in terms of constructing the overall demonstration case and the scope of the application you're looking for. Stakeholder involvement. I mean, you don't need a letter of involvement in a lot of cases. If you are bringing a letter of involvement, try to sort of optimize. So, for example, you've met this user, and this is the support letter you get from them. Okay, fair enough. They support what you wanted to do, but there's no real active participation by the user. It's not clear why they support it. It's just you've got a user, great, well done, better than nothing, but not much help. Something a bit more useful. Okay, you have a stakeholder. They express their interest, and they express clearly what they're going to do as part of the activity as well. It may be providing you data, it may be supporting validation, it may be using systems they've got already, they may be defining requirements for you, and it should be fitting in with, they should have, if they've got a clear view of how what you're developing fits in with what they want to do, and all that's explained in the letter, then you're in a much better position, okay? Just let me stress, if you're doing a sort of early stage development, it may be the case that a user involvement doesn't make sense. If you're working with users, they're busy people, they don't want to be messing around with R&D stuff. But if you're doing something that's application oriented for a particular community, we would expect to see some sort of enthusiastic letter of support. This is a sort of model of the more successful ones compared to the other ones. And if we get something like this, you feel free to give us a ad hoc translation of this. I mean, just if it's not in a official language, it's not much help to us, but you can provide us a translation and we'll try our best. But we prefer to have the letters of support in English or French. Finally, there's a lot of when we get to the tender opening board, these are the things we check. Is there a validity period of the proposal? Is there a firm fixed price, which you state is a firm fixed price? Is there a signature, etc.? Have you filled in all the information that we need? If we don't, then there's a risk that we're not allowed to evaluate the proposal. Make sure the allocations to each partner and the geographic return are clear. Make sure you've included all your codes, like your entity code, your ESA code, etc., so that we know we can match who you are. And all PSS forms are signed by the relevant person in each partner's entity. We tried not to have PSS forms, but we weren't allowed to. So unfortunately, we're passing the effort on to you guys. So make sure everything's signed. Otherwise, formally, it doesn't count as a proposal. In terms of contractual conditions, we're saying, look, just these are standard conditions. Just implement them. If you have legal people in your organization that are unhappy, remember our job as ESA is to build your industrial competitiveness or your institutional competitiveness, and you retain the full rights on the IPR. We're not trying to swindle you out of IPR or anything. We're supporting your development. So just make sure before your legal guys start fighting with our legal guys that that they understand that, so that we can manage the negotiations, and we're not getting a sort of angry statements in the proposal. And sometimes people forget to press the submit button on ESA Star. If you don't press the submit button, we can't access your proposal. So make sure you do that. And you don't need a letter of support from your national delegation. And I think that's it. Yeah. So thanks very much.
So now we come to the end of all the presentations. So I know there was a lot of information. So as requested also in the chat, these presentations will be shared. But now the good thing is that you have a live session Q&A. And so now we're taking questions mainly for the second block. So if you have questions on the digital innovation, the SOOP, the open call, or the foresight, please go ahead. Okay, so we do have a question for the open call. So it says that some time ago there was an open call tutorial. Is ESA planning anything in this direction again? So Gordon, I don't know if you want to answer.
Yeah, I mean, we do, when we're requested by the national delegations, we can do a sort of a webinar tutorial type thing if it's requested. So that's, I mean, the sensitivity is I mean, if you want, if there's a bunch of people that want something, we can do a sort of a more general or more comprehensive version of what I just went through quickly. We would normally do it, like I say, as part of a bilateral discussion with, in cooperation with the national delegations. If there's anything that can't be done in either of these two options, let us know and we can figure out a way forward.
And also the second question.
Relevant codes is the sort of the codes that you get from ESA Star, so that in particular, if you're a large organization with different entities that all have separate codes, if we don't have these in the documentation and you are successful, it can lead to delays in getting a contract out to you afterwards. It means some other organizations in your company may or organization may get a contract from us instead of you. So just make sure that all of these complicated codes are in the right place in the cover letter so we know who you are.
I think probably we can go towards the closure, don't you think, Inge?
Yes, I think so, yeah. Oh, wait, there's one question, Rudo. So a question on the Information Act to read pathfinders. What do you mean with existing applications?
I think this is for me. I mean, as I said, in this Information Factory Pathfinders ITT, we will not invest in developing the application. Yeah? So if you want to show something to an operational stakeholder, it has to be an application that's already existing. Yeah? There will be in the Apex more and more applications also ready for use, or in industry, but you can always go to the separate golden section of what exists with whom you can team. Let's say the scope of these ITTs is to experiment technical and commercial concept of the pathfinders. Paying for the integration of an existing application will not develop an application. I hope this is clear enough. For the third-party algorithm providers, how operational should this be? I think this is all also to me. The more it is operational, the better, of course, you will be evaluated in the proportion, the more credible you will be in the stakeholders. But let's say at the end, for the demonstration, we do a demonstration. So it does not need to be fully operational because it's the Information Factory actually that has to contribute to make it fully operational for the 24/7 execution, for the scalability, but also to investigate the possible price model.
There's a question for Gordon. So for the rapid verification, how many partners are needed? Can a single company also propose a project?
It's what makes sense. We don't have requirements on the number of partners and also the open call, because it's open for an extended time. We don't have preference clauses applicable either, because these may change faster than the time between one submission deadline and another. So it's up to you to decide what makes sense for the activity you do, to make sure you've got in a sufficient background and experience among the partners and access to resources, etc., to do what you want to do. There's no a priori requirement from us. It can be one organization, it can be multiple. I would caution you against putting too many in, because I say the maximum budget for the sort of mainstream ones is 200k. So, you know, I mean, if you've got 10 partners all getting 20k, then maybe that might not be a very credible technical implementation approach. So keep it focused on what's needed and tell us what, you know, justify it in the proposal. If you want to do it all by yourself, and you can, make sure you've got the people that have the right background and experience.
Thanks, Gordon. So there's a few questions on links and where the calls can be found. I would say it's all on the website, so I think maybe we can also share these links in the chat. And then one of the questions is also on templates of documents, so that should all be available as well digitally.
The proposal template is part of the tender document. If you go to the EO Science for Society open call, I think it's FutureEO Segment 2 Science for Society open call, and it's a start. All the documents are there, including the proposal template.
Gordon.
And the PSS form templates, they're in a separate part of ESA-STAR, but it's obvious where they are. It's in the top bit.
Gordon, I think you're next again. So the question is, where there's two use cases are related, is it possible to submit two separate proposals addressing each one individually?
Okay, if you have two connected proposals where one's dependent on the other, then we're obliged not to evaluate either of them. So as long as each proposal is standalone, completely independent, then that's fine.
The links are meanwhile in the chat. Please have a look for who's asking for the links for the calls. More new questions popping up. So then indeed, Rune, I'll give you the floor to close this session. So thanks again for all the presentations and thanks also to the audience. Rune?
Yes, so it is my pleasure here to close this meeting. I think we have been able to show to you a broad, if not very broad, cross-section of activities that we are engaging in and inviting you to engage in. So these are activities that are based on the achievements in the program so far. They are based on reflections that we carry out continuously, and also with the member states and the delegations, and certainly with you as a community. And they're also based on the evolving context and maturity of Earth observation as a whole. So the maturity that we are able to base all of these things on is a result of common work done by you and us in expanding the frontiers of Earth observation in all the areas that we have been discussing. And what I'd like to say at the end here before just closing is simply that this dialogue to us is absolutely essential. It is important for us to continue to have this dialogue with you, not only to answer your questions, but really that you challenge us, that you engage with us, and you work with us in the definition of all of these things, such that we, as a community, as Europe, and as Earth observation, support all of the activities that we can. So my plea to you is basically at the end of all of this, stay in touch, keep on proposing your ideas, engage in the dialogue, and then together we will continue to make excellent and great things. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone. I saw over 200 people at some point logging into these meetings for your patience, for your interest. There's been a lot of information. We will make sure that the material is also available. And with that, I simply say thank you and see you next time. And we are looking forward to your proposals.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.